Part 17. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 161. The trip to Balan Star did not take Luo Xia and Luo Feng too much time. In addition to buying the metal for the cultivation of the golden horned giant beast clone, they also bought an E-level nutrition capsule and 5 cosmic level slaves. 4 of the slaves were cosmic level 7th and 8th levels, and 1 was a cosmic level spiritualist 9th level. The purchased nutrition capsule was very expensive, and the price of the nutrition capsule alone was 860 billion cosmic coins. Then the nutrient solution had to be purchased separately. 1 ton of nutrient solution cost 10 billion cosmic coins. Babata suggested Luo Feng to buy the nutrition capsule. Because his original body is now a golden horned giant, the Earthling clone can use external objects to improve it at will. Anyway, it will not affect the original body. But Luo Xia can't do that. His body is still the original body of the Earthling. In order to make his foundation more solid, Babata never let him overuse external objects to improve his body. So this extremely expensive nutrition capsule was finally bought, only one for Luo Feng to use. Days passed. After returning to Earth from Balan Star, the two brothers did not venture into the universe again, but practiced in seclusion at home. With Luo Xia and Luo Feng feeding them metal at all costs, the strength of the two brothers' golden horned beast clones grew rapidly. Soon, Luo Feng's golden horned beast broke through to the cosmic level. The golden horned beast that entered the cosmic level was more than 1 kilometer long, and the golden secret patterns on its body became more and more conspicuous and brilliant, exuding a mysterious atmosphere. After Luo Feng's golden horned beast entered the cosmic level, it automatically possessed the power of the domain. According to his introduction, the domain of the golden horned beast is to control all metals within the domain. In addition to the breakthrough in the realm, with Luo Feng's efforts, he has now learned the slave soul seal of teacher Hu Yanbo. After Luo Xia and his elder brother Luo Feng mastered the slave soul seal of teacher Hu Yanbo, they immediately taught him the new slave soul seal they developed. After that, Luo Feng used the new slave soul seal learned from Luo Xia to enslave the slave of the 9th level of the cosmic level. This universe level 9th level aptitude and talent named Difan are good. After Luo Feng integrated the new slave soul seal into his soul, he also obtained a large amount of original force and mental power from Difan, and his overall strength was improved by 1 level. While Luo Feng was working hard to practice, Luo Xia was constantly comprehending the law of thunder and the law of space. As for the law of wind, because it had been recognized by the law of origin, Luo Xia did not go deeper under the advice of Babata. With his extraordinary understanding, he had already comprehended the law of thunder more deeply, and his understanding of the law of space had also improved. In addition to comprehending the law of origin, Luo Xia was also learning various secrets of the golden horned beast. Among them, he was most interested in the original world and absolute space of the golden horned beast. Absolute space is a secret method of instantaneous burst speed. After practicing it, you can increase your speed to the maximum speed in an instant. Especially when you practice to the 3rd level, you can teleport. Teleport. It's a magical skill. Even an immortal level strongman may not be able to learn it. Luo Xia relied on learning and understanding the secret method of absolute space to quickly improve his level of understanding of the law of space to the same level as the law of thunder. As for the original world, Luo Xia recreated and optimized it in order to use it on the original Earthling. Originally, the golden horned beast practiced the original world by devouring various exotic metals. But Luo Xia's Earthling original body can only devour various energies, not metals. So he created and comprehended a new secret method based on original world, law of heaven and earth. That's right, it's the law of heaven and earth in the story of Journey to the West. Original world is a secret method that makes the body bigger and smaller, which is very similar to the law of heaven and earth in the story of Journey to the West, so Luo Xia named the new secret method he created Law of Heaven and Earth. Let's talk about the effect of original world first. It has 3 levels. The first level has a 3-fold increase in size and strength, and the strength is increased by 3 times at the same time. The second level can be enlarged or reduced by 9 times, and the strength is increased by 9 times at the same time. The third level can be enlarged or reduced as you wish, but it cannot exceed 10,000 times, and the strength can only be increased by 36 times. The original world cultivated by the golden horned beast, shrinking makes its body denser, makes its scales harder, and makes its claws and horns sharper. Enlarging will not increase combat power, but will only increase speed. With a flap of wings, it can travel a long distance, but it is almost the same. The law of heaven and earth cultivated by the original earthlings is similar to the original world in effect. But it is the opposite. After Logosya becomes smaller, his speed will increase and his agility will be greatly improved. Enlarging will greatly increase combat power. Law of heaven and earth has 3 levels like the original world. After practicing the first level, his own strength can be increased tenfold. After practicing to the second level, his strength can be increased 30-fold. After practicing to the third level, his strength will be directly increased 50 times. After Logosya comprehended law of heaven and earth, he taught it to his elder brother Logofeng. But compared with original heaven and earth, the practice of law of heaven and earth is more difficult and more focused on understanding. In the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed. That day, on Mars, Logosya and Logofeng were suspended in the air, standing opposite each other. The next second, Logosya shouted, "Brother, I'm here." As soon as the words fell, Logosya's body suddenly showed golden secret patterns. Then, his body suddenly swelled up, and in the golden light, it instantly grew to more than 100 meters tall, and the Moyunteng battle suit he was wearing also swelled up. He flew in the air, as if he had turned into a black Ultraman. Logofeng was amazed. He was also practicing this Fa Tian Xiang Di. But until now, he has not been able to use the first level. As the founder, Logosya has already practiced the first level of Fa Tian Xiang Di, and can directly grow his body to more than 100 meters. At the same time, his strength soared tenfold. Logosya's breath exploded, and all kinds of violent and terrifying airflows were generated around him. The yellow sand atmosphere covering the sky was all dispersed by his breath. "Come on." Logofeng lowered his eyes, and the next moment, his figure suddenly disappeared, and an extremely huge golden horned beast appeared. This golden horned beast was 6 kilometers long, and its huge body was like a mountain range. Its forehooves were 2 or 3 kilometers high, just like the legendary pillars of heaven. Rorschach, who was more than 100 meters tall, was still as small as a bug in front of this huge beast. A ray of light flashed across Logofeng's dark golden pupils. The next moment, he flapped his wings and slammed his huge hooves at Rorschach, as if to crush him to death. "Ha ha! Good timing." Rorschach laughed loudly, not afraid at all. Facing the huge hooves of the golden horned beast, he did not retreat at all. Instead, he punched upward and slammed his hooves together with Logofeng's hooves. Boom! The terrifying energy exploded at the center of the collision between their fists and hooves, and the space was rippling like ripples. At the same time, a hurricane that was more violent than a level 12 typhoon blew around. Cracks like spider webs appeared on the ground under his feet, and then there was a bang. In the dust all over the sky, a pit with a diameter of tens of thousands of meters appeared on the ground. Logofeng felt the powerful force coming from the hoof claws, and was secretly surprised. Now his golden horned beast has reached the 6th level of the universe, and Xiao Xia is only the 9th level of the star level. He has only used the first level of the law of heaven and earth. Can he compete with his physical strength? He also used 32 times the force technique, Babada explained. The golden horned beast is a starry sky beast, with an extremely strong body. In the universe, there are not many races that can fight against them physically. That is, Logosia's life gene was increased tenfold by the original universe will, and then doubled by the bloodline evolution agent, reaching 11 times the life gene, which can physically compete with the power of the golden horned beast. If it were someone else, they would have been crushed by Luo Feng's hoof claws. After the two brothers punched each other head-on, they began to fight with various secret methods. In Babata's sight, he saw two golden silk threads colliding in the air. Every time the two golden threads collided, they would burst out with unparalleled power, tearing the surrounding airflow and the ground beneath their feet, and forming huge pits and canyons on Mars. Even the huge storm that had been blowing on the surface of Mars for years was affected by the battle between the two brothers and was directly torn apart and dissipated. Boom! Another collision. In the terrifying energy tide, Luo Xia and Luo Feng temporarily separated. After a brief glance at each other, the two brothers opened their domains at the same time. The speed domain and the metal domain began to collide. The gray domain was centered on Luo Xia, radiating and spreading to the surroundings, and instantly enveloped the golden horned beast. Luo Feng reacted in time and immediately unfolded the golden domain, controlling the metal in the earth, making these metals permeate the body and turn into extremely sharp metal spikes. Under his control, these spikes formed a vortex storm. If Luo Xia got close, he would be blocked by the metal storm. He knew very well that Luo Xia's speed after opening the domain was so fast that he could not react at all. Only by spreading the metal spikes around and forming a metal storm with no dead angles in all directions could he cope with Luo Xia's speed. In the gray world, Luo Xia saw his elder brother's response and a smile appeared on his lips. Little. His body of more than 100 meters suddenly shrank rapidly in the golden light. In an instant, he became a thumb-sized little man. Then, Luo Xia's breath and figure disappeared from Luo Feng's perception. Luo Feng, who was surrounded by the metal storm, shrank his pupils. Where did Xiao Xia go? Big brother, I'm here. Luo Xia's voice suddenly sounded. Before Luo Feng could react, he felt a pain in the armpit of his left hoof, and then a huge airflow swept his body. The next second, the huge body of the golden horned beast was thrown out by Luo Xia. It was the shrunken Luo Xia who passed through the gap of the metal storm and came to the armpit of Luo Feng's left front paw, and threw him out with the power of the law of the origin of wind. Roar! Halfway through being thrown out, the golden horned beast roared, and its whole body flashed with golden light. The powerful law aura permeated, and it shook off the power of the law of wind that Luo Xia had applied to him. The law of gold and the law of wind began to compete. Luo Feng, who had shaken off the power of the law of wind, flapped his wings and stabilized his body in the air. His dark golden eyes lit up with brilliant golden light. The power of the law of gold was pushed to the extreme by him, and the surrounding space was shaking. Countless metals were moved and floated beside him. Buzz! The next second, with the blessing of the power of the law of gold, these metals turned into golden swords, like a meteor rain, bombarding Luo Xia. At this time, Luo Xia still maintained a thumb-sized body. In this state, his speed and agility will increase wildly, and there is also the effect of restraining his breath. If he moves, don't even think about capturing his figure and breath. Absolute space. Luo Xia used absolute space, bursting out at the maximum speed in an instant, leaving an afterimage in the original place, and flashed out from the area covered by the meteor sword rain like teleportation. Luo Feng's eyes flashed, and at the moment Luo Xia disappeared, he burst into golden light all over his body, and the mysterious and dazzling secret pattern emerged. The first level of the original world. 2 years later, Luo Feng's golden horned beast also practiced the first level of the original world by swallowing metal. In the light of the secret pattern, Luo Feng's huge body shrank sharply, and it shrank to 2 kilometers in an instant. The density of his whole body increased greatly, and his strength increased by 3 times. The original heaven and earth and the law of heaven and earth began to compete. Luo Feng almost pushed his spiritual perception to the extreme. He vaguely sensed the position of the abdomen below, and there was a slight change in the airflow. He knew that his younger brother Luo Xia came to the abdomen below. Boom! Luo Feng almost did not hesitate. He turned over, and the huge wings were like an iron curtain. He struck back and bombarded Luo Xia, who appeared in the abdomen below. Luo Xia's eyes widened slightly. He didn't expect that his elder brother could react. Seeing the huge wings flapping, he suddenly shouted, "Fix!" Buzz! In an instant, the power of the law of space was mobilized. The space around Luo Xia was as sticky as a swamp, and the huge wings were directly fixed. In Luo Feng's perception, the space where the wings were located was directly imprisoned, and it could not move at all. It was really like the fixing spell in the myth. He shouted, "Xiao Xia, are you using the power of the origin of space?" Rorschach's body returned to normal size, scratched his head and smiled, "I have made progress in my understanding of the space law recently, so I'll give it a try. I don't have much idea about the space law, but you can confine space. We are both born of the same parents, why is there such a big gap?" Luo Feng didn't continue to fight with Rorschach, and directly put the golden horned beast into his inner world, allowing the earthling clone to appear. He looked at Rorschach and said unconvinced. Babada appeared at this time, standing on Luo Xia's shoulder, supporting his head with his hands, and said very happily. According to Luo Xia's current comprehension speed, it is estimated that when he is promoted to the universe level, he will be recognized by the law of the origin of space. This is an achievement that many immortal level strongmen cannot achieve. Luo Feng looked at Luo Xia and asked, "Xiao Xia, how is your understanding of the law of thunder?" "It's okay, because the attributes are not compatible with my own, the speed of comprehension is slow." Luo Xia shook his head, and then said, "But the law of gold, because of the relationship with the golden horned beast, now catch up, and the perception is deeper than the law of thunder." Luo Feng smiled bitterly when he heard this. He has only comprehended a little bit of the law of gold. On Luo Xia's side, he has been recognized by the law of the origin of wind, and the law of gold and the law of thunder have been comprehended to a relatively high level. The law of space can even exert a large range of space confinement. Luo Feng sighed again in his heart. They are all born from the same parents, why is there such a big difference? It's the end of the month, I'm begging for the monthly tickets and recommendation tickets from all the readers. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 162. December 15, 2065 in the Chinese calendar. The triennial dry witch auction is coming up. Luo Xia was informed and entered the virtual universe with Luo Feng. "Xiao Xia, when you come back, you and I can talk about what's in the auction." Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. On the way, Luo Feng and Luo Xia walked towards Luo Hua's studio and said to Luo Xia. Because all the money from the sale was placed in the bank account opened by Luo Xia, the invitation letter from the Ganu auction was given to Luo Xia. So this time, it was Rorschach who went to the auction. Luo Xia said, "Brother, why don't you go?" In the original work, Luo Feng went to this auction. Rorschach was not very interested in the auction. Luo Feng smiled and shook his head, "If I have that time, I might as well stay at home with Ping Ping, Xiaohei and the others. This invitation letter can be renamed. It's just that few people exercise this right. After all, the Kinwu auction is a grand event. Who would give up this qualification? That is to say, those big families will give this kind of quota to their own disciples so that they can see the world." "Okay, then I'll go." Luo Xia nodded, "When I see something suitable, I'll buy it for you." Luo Feng smiled and nodded. While the two brothers were talking, they had already arrived at Luo Hua's studio. Pushing the door open, you can see that in a room of nearly 100 square meters, young men and women are sitting, typing on the keyboard in front of a virtual computer, very focused, not even disturbed by Luo Xia and Luo Feng coming in. Them. Luo Hua, who was fine, noticed Luo Xia and Luo Feng. He stood up in surprise and asked with a smile, "Brother, Xiao Xia, why are you two here?" Luo Feng glanced at the entire studio and said with a smile, "You are quite lively." Luo Hua smiled and said, "So. Hello Mr. Luo." "Hello Mr. Luo." At this time, other people in the studio also noticed Luo Xia and Luo Feng. They all stood up and greeted Luo Xia and Luo Feng. "Brother, Xioxia, why do you want to come to my place? Come on, let's go to the side to chat." Wait for me." Luo Hua returned to his seat, clicked on the computer, and then called Luo Feng and Luo Xia, "Let's go." The three of them came to the next door to the studio. "This is a tea room." The three brothers sat down. Luo Xia consciously poured tea for his two brothers. Luo Hua took the teacup, looked at Luo Feng and Luo Xia, and said, "It's not uncommon for you to come over while I'm working." "Brother, Xiao Xia, what's the matter?" Luo Feng nodded, took a sip of tea first, and then said, "Well, tomorrow is the triennial dry witch auction. Xioxia got the invitation letter and wanted to ask you how much money you have." When Luo Hua heard this, he almost spat out the tea in his mouth. He swallowed, stared, and said, "Can we auction? I heard many partners say that it is the highest level auction in the entire Kinwu universe, and the threshold is very high." Luo Xia nodded, "Yes, the minimum threshold is to be a Samsung customer of the two major banks." "Damn," Luo Hua opened his mouth, "3-star customer? Xioxia, when did you become so rich?" Luo Xia said, "This is the money that my eldest brother and I took risks. Didn't I give you 2 trillion cosmic coins in the past 2 years? I just pulled it out of the money I earned." Luo Feng continued, "Xiao Xia and I came here this time just to ask you, how are the 2 trillion universe coins doing now? After all, he is going to participate in the auction tomorrow. He has more money and more confidence." After Luo Hua pondered for a moment, he said, "Last year, I had an operation for pancreatic cancer. I made 50% profit at high times, and occasionally lost money, so the 2 trillion universe coins you gave me, in general, I made no profit and no loss. I have made a lot of money this year, and now I still have 3 trillion in assets. But I used this money to lay out half a year ago, and it will be operational soon. If you are in a hurry to get it, you have to throw it away. If we throw it away now, it will cause the price to fall, and we estimate that we can get back 8 trillion cosmic coins." Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other. When Luo Xia moved his family into the villa in his early years, he earned money from online stock trading, so now he heard Luo Hua's meaning clearly. "Second brother, this matter is not urgent. Anyway, the auction will last for 10 days. If I need money then, I will send you a message." Rorschach said. If he hadn't focused all his attention on cultivation in the past 2 years, with his intelligence and energy, he could have worked with Luo Hua to make great changes in the financial market of the universe and multiply the assets he had previously acquired several times. It's also true that if you gain something, you must lose something. Because he put all his energy into cultivation, he can now make rapid progress in understanding the original law. Luo Hua nodded and said, "No problem, if you need money urgently, I will sell it immediately. I can get you more than 2 trillion yuan in funds no matter what." The next day, Rorschach said goodbye to his family and relatives and went to attend the dry witch auction. He rode the Pegasus to the teleportation point, held the invitation letter to the Ganu auction, and teleported. In an instant, he arrived at a suspended city on the Ganu continent. Before Rorschach could clearly see the surrounding environment, the invitation emitted a little light, allowing the hanging city's defense to automatically open a passage. Hello, sir, you are welcome to participate in this Kinwu auction. This is your seat number. Arriving at the hanging city's auction hall, there were countless people queuing up. Rorschach walked to the back of a queue and heard a waiter in front of him respectfully hand over a black sign and then let the man with the tail on his back enter the auction hall. There are so many people, Rorschach said to Babata in the wrist space. Babata said, this is the highest level auction of Kinwu Universe Country, and there must be many people. After all, Kinwu Universe Country is a universe country with an extremely large territory. Almost all the people who come here are realm masters. There are only a very few people. They are big businessmen and some young people with super powerful backgrounds. After a pause, she said to Luoxia, for example, in the eyes of others, you are the kind of young man with a super powerful background. At this time, the two people in front of Rorschach started talking. They seemed to be friends and knew each other. Only one of them said, Nanu, how many people do you think will participate in the auction this year? The number of people participating in the last auction reached more than 1.31 million. Another person replied, looking at the queue today, I am afraid it will far exceed the scale of the previous auction. And the guy named Nanu lowered his voice. Rorschach concentrated his attention and heard what he said. I heard that this auction will have a quota to enter the initial universe for enlightenment. This quota is for the Realm Master. The highest number can allow the Realm Master to enter the initial universe for enlightenment. Many immortal level powerhouses have come, I just want to grab this spot. Rorschach pretended to be confused and asked, Babata, what is the initial universe? Babata explained, the universe we live in now is called the original universe. It is a very complete universe that has passed through the initial stage. The so-called initial universe is the universe that has just been formed, where we can better understand the original laws. That's all I know. Luoxia frowned, even you don't know it very well. Babata spread his hands and said, after all, your teacher had never been to the original universe. While communicating with Babata, Rorschach still kept his ears open, listening to other people's conversations. From the mouths of these people, he can get some information that he has never heard before. For example, Outer Territory Battlefield and Star Territory Secret Realm. Little brother, which family and organization are you from? Suddenly, a person standing in the team next to Luoxia asked Luoxia. Luoxia glanced at him and smiled, no family, no organization. Oh. Hearing this, the man nodded and did not ask any further questions. But looking at his expression, you can tell that he doesn't believe Rorschach's words. After all, those who can come here are all 3-star customers of the 2 major universe banks. If they don't have any background, how can they stand here at such a young age? Standing in line out of boredom. Soon, Rorschach arrived. A beautiful woman handed Rorschach a black token with a smile and said, hello, sir, welcome to this Kinwu auction. This is your seat number. Rorschach took it and found that there was a translucent screen on the black token with the seat number, KND 99286. Why not just flatten it? Rorschach complained and walked into the auction hall with the token. The entire auction hall is like a football field on Earth, with the auction venue in the middle and dense stands surrounding it. Babata said, there are a total of 3 million seats in this auction hall. Each seat is 6 meters wide and 10 meters high. Rorschach complained, it's so wide and so long, I might as well get a single room. Babata said, the purpose of having such large seats is to take care of those larger customers. If we have a single room, we will need a larger venue. The two were talking, and Rorschach had already found his seat. The seat was very comfortable, 6 meters wide and larger than his bed. So Rorschach lay down directly, took out some snacks from the space and started eating. Others sitting next to Rorschach looked at him with interest when they saw Rorschach lying down. So young, yet so relaxed in such an occasion. Very unusual. As time passed, Rorschach yawned and asked, "Babata, hasn't the auction started yet? It's been almost 3 hours." Babata looked at Rorschach speechlessly and said, "It's about to start. Please be more serious." "Why are you serious? It's not like you can get good things at auction if you are serious," Luoxia said while chewing melon seeds. "You have to be rich to get good things at auction." Babata. "That's quite right. Everyone." At this time, a deep voice echoed throughout the auction room. Rorschach lay on the chair and looked towards the central auction venue. He saw an old man with a bald head and a black turtle shell standing on the stage. Above him, a three-dimensional virtual projection thousands of meters high appeared. "Is it finally starting?" Rorschach sat up cross-legged on the chair and cheered up slightly. Of course, the seeds in his mouth didn't stop. Just listen to the old turtle shell shouting. "Welcome everyone to participate in this dry witch auction. Thank you to Virtual Universe Company, Universe First Bank, Universe Galaxy Bank, Giant Axe Arena, Universe Mercenary Alliance, and GANU Universe Country for their strong support." The old man smiled and said, "I believe many people know me. You can call me Lao Batuo. This time it will still be La Batuo who will host this top-notch event for everyone." The last dry witch auction had 1,316,038 participants, and the statistics for this auction have just come out. Do you know how many people were there? 1,823,959 people. 1.82 million, more than 500,000 more than last time. Rorschach muttered, "It seems that there are more than so many participants, all attracted by the quota for enlightenment of the initial universe." The old man below continued. "No more nonsense. Before the auction officially begins, as per the old rules, let's have a warm-up auction first," he said, pointing to the virtual projection above. I saw the brilliance of the virtual projection changing, and finally the universe galaxies appeared. This is the Tana star territory. Among the more than 13,000 star fields in our GANU universe, this is a small star field that ranks at the bottom. The entire star field has a total of 668 galaxies. The Tana star territory used to be the territory of an immortal strongman. Recently, this immortal existence is preparing to go on a life and death adventure, so he wants to get rid of the entire star territory. Now, the hot auction begins, with a base price of 300 yuan per unit. As the old man finished speaking, the entire auction house became noisy. It was the first time for many people to participate in this kind of auction. They did not expect that a hotspot auction could be so powerful that an entire star field could be sold. You know, the Silver Blue Empire, as the primary civilization in the universe, only controls the star fields of 8 galaxies. This Tana star field has 668 galaxies. Dang, Luoxia gave a thumbs up in admiration. It is indeed an auction of advanced cosmic civilizations. This auction is so impressive. In other novels, the protagonist often participates in some auctions and then makes mistakes in the auctions. For example, the ever-arbitrary Emperor Huangtian participated in an auction when he was in the wilderness of the lower world, picked up a piece of armor that could increase his combat power. But no matter how awesome that auction was, it was not as powerful as the witch auction. A star field is auctioned here, containing more than 600 star systems, with countless populations and resources. This kind of auction behavior can only be described in one word: awesome. Tisk, it's a star field. It's a pity that I have no money, so I can only watch the big guys fight to get rich. He lay down again, in a comfortable side-lying position, watching the auction price continue to rise. 861, 876, 912. 1000. In the end, Tana Star Territory sold 1,000 Hunyuan units. As the warm-up auction ends, the auction officially begins. This auction has officially begun. Now you can see from the auction tokens the first batch of auction items that will be auctioned. There are 1000 items in total. If you want to buy them, you can be prepared. The old man, who was carrying a turtle shell and looked like a turtle immortal, shouted loudly. Rorschach dug his ears and clicked on the auction items on the token to check their information. So, why do you want it to look like a token? He continued to rant. In his complaint, the first auction item is already on the virtual projection. The old turtle shell shouted. Now is the first item minus 92 metal life forms from the Berna tribe. The metal life of the Bernard clan can be integrated with the spacecraft, giving the spacecraft the ability to self-recover and upgrade. There are 92 Bernard clan metal lives in total, and the base price is 200 billion cosmic coins. The highest 92 bids will get this Bernard clan metal life. Rorschach blinked and asked Babata, in other words, the 92 auctioneers with the highest bids can get a metallic life from the Bernard clan. Babata nodded, yes, in such a large auction, if there are a large number of items to be auctioned, this is how they are auctioned. I beg all readers for your monthly votes and recommendation votes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo-Yoon Song. Chapter 163. The Dry Witch auction lasted for 10 days. Luo Xia did not buy anything unexpected, and the current assets of him and his eldest brother Luo Feng could not support him to spend money in this auction. So the things he bought were the same as in the original work. Lank fruit is used to cultivate Moyun vine. A divine weapon, which is very suitable for Luo Xia and Luo Feng, because the divine weapon in this auction is a weapon forged from the fusion of the law of gold and the law of space. Of course, this attribute is the most suitable for Luo Feng. Because Rorschach's most suitable attributes are the law of wind and the law of time. Unfortunately, until now, Rorschach has not encountered anything related to the law of time. As a result, he now has no understanding of the law of time. But it doesn't matter, there will always be opportunities like this later. No need to rush at all. After all, his current strength is only at star level. And he is only in his 20s. Still very young. Have enough time. After auctioning the ancient weapon, Rorschach auctioned off the broken skin of the Demon Killer clan under Babata's instructions. According to Babata, this demon-killing clan is an energy life and the darling of the original law of space. The skin on its body has the secret pattern of the law of space. If it grows up like this, it will become the most powerful assassin in the universe. Both Rorschach and Luo Feng can use it as their second clone. After the auction of the Demon Slayer skin, the auction of the last commodity soon came. The quota for enlightenment of the initial universe. This kind of product that appears last is not something Rorschach can get involved with. He lay on the chair and watched the big guys competing for the spot to comprehend the initial universe. When the auction was over, he left the hanging city. On the 15th day after the auction ended, Rorschach and Luo Feng took Difan and Melissa to Beilangzing. Now, under the training of Rorschach, Melissa's strength has reached the 8th level of stellar level. Progress is rapid. Nowadays, even Luo Feng, whose willpower has reached the 6th level of the cosmic level, will fall into the illusion she casts with her talent, which is very scary. Luo Xia had all the things he bought at the Qinwu auction sent to Beilangzing. Now I am here just to receive those auction items. The guest's identity is confirmed and transactions are possible. Rorschach came to a spaceship, and the spacecraft immediately made a mechanical electronic sound. Immediately afterwards, the staff of Virtual Universe Company moved large boxes out of the spacecraft and placed them on the ground. Rorschach waved his hand and put these big boxes into the space ring. Dear guest, thank you for your support of our Virtual Universe Company, thank you. Rorschach shook hands with a middle-aged man with short silver hair, and then the two parties separated. The virtual universe company's spaceship soared into the sky and disappeared into the sky of Balin's star. Rorschach and the others also returned to their spaceship and returned to Earth. On the spaceship, Rorschach opened the boxes one by one. These boxes contain the products he auctioned: Lank fruit, Yan Shen weapon, demon killer skin. Brother. This Lank fruit is used to cultivate Moyun vine. This divine weapon is a very powerful weapon. It contains the secret patterns of the law of gold and the law of space. It can be used by realm lords and even immortals. I bought it specially for you. Luo Feng looked at the ancient weapon. This divine weapon is in the shape of a stick, but it is not a real stick, but a combination of various small swords. It is similar to the meteor sword that Luo Xia exchanged in the world within the world. It's just that the meteor sword is not as good as the ancient weapon. There is a slight difference in grade. After all, there is only a single secret pattern of the golden law on the meteor sword. The ancient weapon has the laws of space and the laws of gold. Xiao Xia, this ancient weapon is very suitable for you. It's much better for you to use than for me, Luo Feng said. Luo Xia shook his head. The attributes of this divine weapon are more in line with yours. You also know that my main attribute is wind, and it is gold and air. I bought it specially for you. Hearing this, Luo Feng picked up the ancient weapon and felt the aura of law contained on it. He felt like he couldn't breathe. He said with some difficulty, "That's all right, I'll accept it." Rorschach pointed at the last box and said, "This is the skin of the demon slayer. According to Babata, this demon slayer is the top assassin in the universe and has unparalleled space talent. She suggested that we use the skin to breed a second clone, so that we can get the space talent of the demon killer clan." Luo Feng asked, "What level is this demon killer clan? If it is higher than the 6th level of the cosmic level, we will not be able to give birth to it. The golden horned behemoth's clone talent is limited. If the person giving birth to a clone is of a higher level than you, you will not be able to give birth to it. The level is not high. The people at the auction house said it is the 2nd level of the universe." Babata said, "Because if the level of the demon slayer is very high, it is impossible to catch it at all, and its skin cannot be preserved. The demon slayer is an energy life. Generally, after death, it turns into energy and dissipates." Luo Xia said, "Actually, even if his strength is higher than the 6th level of the universe, we can wait until his strength improves before gestating it. It's not like this thing has a shelf life." Luo Feng nodded and looked at the ancient weapon in his hand. This ancient weapon is so heavy, both physically and spiritually. The breath of the law it contains makes me feel like I am holding a heavy mountain. Babata laughed and said, "Of course not. This is the ancient weapon, a top weapon that can be used by the peak level of the realm master. It has 9 forms. It is unpredictable. Luo Feng, you must get familiar with the ancient weapon as soon as possible, and then you can start practicing the first form of the ancient weapon." Luo Feng nodded, "I understand." Soon after, Luo Xia and the others returned to the solar system. The two brothers did not return to Earth immediately, but came to Mars. Luo Feng released the original body of the golden horned beast. The monster with a body length of more than 6 kilometers was suspended in the air, just like a mountain range flying up, majestic and terrifying. Luo Xia carefully cut off a little bit of the skin of the demon-killing clan, and then let Luo Feng's golden horned beast swallow it. Then, Luo Xia also released his own golden horned beast clone. Compared to Luo Feng's golden horned beast, Luo Xia's golden horned beast clone is only 4 kilometers long. In the past 2 years, Luo Xia has barely raised the strength of the golden horned beast clone to the 4th level of the universe. As for his original body, he can actually be promoted to the universe level at any time. But in order to participate in the subsequent universe genius battle, Luo Xia has been suppressing his strength. At the same time, he has been constantly consolidating his foundation. Because the killed demon killer clan only has the strength of the second level of the universe, Laosia's golden horned beast can also be bred. The reason why he chose to use the golden horned beast to breed instead of the original body. Because the clone bred by the original body will really die if it dies. But the clone bred by the golden horned beast can be resurrected continuously as long as the golden horned beast is not dead and the original nucleus is not destroyed. One day later, Luoxia and Luofeng knew the time required to breed the second clone. Luofeng is 3 years and 9 months. Luoxia is 4 years and 7 months. The reason why it can be bred so quickly is mainly because the demon killer clan is an energy life form. As long as the life crystal core of the demon killer clan is bred, it will be fine. If it were a flesh and blood life form, this brooding process would definitely take hundreds of years. I'm late, sorry. Thank you all readers for subscribing and voting. Thank you very much. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 164. Chapter 164 Humans in the Universe, Battle of the Peak Geniuses. Because this time the golden horned beast is used to breed the clones of the demon killer clan, Luoxia cannot use the cave world to absorb energy to speed up the breeding of the demon killer clan. But it's only more than 4 years, so he can wait. After the Dry Witch auction ended, the Chinese land ushered in the Spring Festival. Even after experiencing the Great Nirvana, the Chinese people still did not forget their most important festival. Luoxia and Luofeng also rarely stopped practicing these days and spent the new year with their families at home. Watching the two nephews chasing and playing in the room, Luoxia sat on the sofa and was very emotional. This world encountered the Great Nirvana and did not give up the Spring Festival. But before Luoxia traveled to the earth, there is no holiday on the New Year's Eve of the Spring Festival. After the new year, Luoxia and Luofeng continued to devote themselves to practice. At present, Luoxia is not in a hurry to improve his realm, so most of his energy is now focused on nourishing the meteor sword and comprehending the origin law. Big brother Luofeng is also nourishing the Yan Shen Bing. The level of meteor sword and Yanshen weapon is very high, and they are weapons that can only be used by the powerful world master. This kind of weapon is different from the weapons of level 1, 2, and 3. They need the owner to nurture and let the weapon get familiar with the owner's breath before they can start to use it. In simple terms, weapons above level 5 are like the spiritual treasures in myths, and they have spirits. If the weapon is not familiar with your breath, it will be very inconvenient to use. It is worth mentioning that although Yanshen weapon was given to his elder brother Luofeng, Luoxia can still observe the law patterns on Yanshen weapon at ordinary times, and these law patterns have helped Luoxia a lot. Let him have a deeper understanding of the law of gold and the law of space. And just when Luoxia and Luofeng were practicing with all their heart, the imperial capital star of Black Dragon Mountain. In a suspended palace, the ninth prince Brolin, wearing royal clothes, said coldly to Catalo and others below, "Have you found the information about Rorschach?" Catalo knelt below and bowed his head and said, "Not yet. We only found out that he is under the command of Minjiao, the lord of Sanfu Mountain. As for other information, it seems to be carefully hidden." Brolin frowned and said coldly, "In other words, you still haven't found the specific information about Rorschach." Catalo and others trembled, "Yes, yes." Brolin sighed and waved his hand, "Okay, you go down." When Catalo and others left the hall, Brolin stood up suddenly and threw out everything he could get. He was in a bad mood recently, very bad. In the Battle of the World, he ignored other treasures in order to exchange for the inheritance crystal, but the inheritance crystal he finally got was fake. His grandfather also lost almost all his wealth because of a fake inheritance crystal, and also offended many realm masters in Black Dragon Mountain. With his grandfather Hargrave losing power in the Black Dragon Mountain Holy Land, life as the ninth prince has become difficult. If Brolin doesn't want to lose in the fight for the throne, he must have enough money. As long as he has money, he can do more things. But the battle of the realm has left him penniless. So Brolin set his sights on Rorschach. He is sure that Rorschach must have a lot of money. A lot of treasures. As long as he knows Rorschach's location, he can send people to snatch those treasures. He believes that Rorschach will never dare to sell the treasures he got in the realm for his own life. Those who do so will now have grass on their graves taller than people. As long as I can get the treasures in Laodicia's hands, I will have enough money to make friends with the world master. Then, what will my eldest brother and third brother have to fight with me? But, where is Laodicea? He seems to be a citizen of my Black Dragon Mountain Empire. If I can enter the General Citizen Information Database, I can find his location, but this is very risky. If I am discovered, I will be finished. The laws of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire are very strict. Princes like Brolin are prohibited from accessing the Empire's General Citizen Information Database and Intelligence System. Brolin was thinking in the palace. After a long while, he clapped his hands suddenly and whispered, "I can't enter the General Citizen Information Database, but Grandpa can. It seems that I can only ask Grandpa for help." He changed his clothes and came to the palace, and then came to a vast courtyard of the palace and entered a stone tablet. "Your Highness Brolin, what are you doing in the Holy Land?" Brolin, who entered the Black Dragon Mountain Holy Land, encountered obstruction. A man with wings on his back appeared on the towering mountain peak, looking at Brolin in front of him and questioning him. He was the gatekeeper of the Black Dragon Mountain Holy Land, and he would not let anyone in easily. Brolin did not dare to show off to the winged man in front of him, and hurriedly said, "I want to see my grandfather for something." As soon as the voice fell, a voice directly traveled through millions of miles and appeared on the mountain peak. "Let him come over." Hearing this, the winged man said to Brolin in a cold voice, "You can enter the Holy Land, but remember, you must go directly to the location of Lord Hargrave, and you are prohibited from trespassing in other places." "Yes." Brolin responded respectfully. Then, he took out the spaceship from the space ring and flew towards Black Dragon Mountain under the gaze of the winged man. This Holy Land is the Kingdom of God opened by the founding Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Realm Lord Hargrave is on the Black Dragon Mountain in the Kingdom of God. The so-called Black Dragon Mountain is a huge black mountain range with a height of more than 100,000 kilometers. This mountain range is completely black, like a giant black dragon with two wings. "Come to me." Hargrave's voice rang directly in Brolin's ears, guiding him to his location. Brolin did not dare to run around. Following his grandfather's guidance, he came to a luxurious palace. The palace is built on a cliff. At this time, a bald old man with a hooked nose was standing on the edge of the cliff, waiting for Brolin. "Grandpa." After getting off the spaceship, Brolin came behind Hargrave and saluted respectfully. Hargrave turned around and looked at his grandson, with a smile on his cold face. "Abu, why do you want to come to my place?" Brolin grimaced and cried, "Grandpa, I've been having a hard time lately." Hargrave said, "I understand." Brolin continued, "Grandpa, everything in the Imperial City requires money. And I have no money now, but I know that there is a star-level guy who got a lot of treasures in the world within the world. But I cannot use the Empire's intelligence system and Citizen General Information Database to investigate his information." Hargrave's eyes lit up slightly. "Oh? Are you sure there is a star-level kid who has obtained a lot of the treasures of Lord Cabu?" Brolin nodded, "I'm very sure." "And Grandpa, do you remember that in the world within the world, there was a person who was recognized by the origin law? I highly doubt that it was that Rorschach. Didn't you say that he is only a star?" Hargrave frowned. He remembered this very clearly. At that time, Many people were searching for who the person recognized by the origin law was and wanted to win over him. It was only at that time that Hargrave was focused on the inheritance crystal, so he didn't pay much attention to the person recognized by the original law. However, he also got some news. He heard that the person recognized by the original law would attract people later. Attracted the attention of several high-ranking figures from the giants. He is indeed only at the star level, but I am 80% sure that the one recognized by the original law in the world within the world is Rorschach. Brolin said. Tell me about it. Haji Leaf gestured to his grandson to explain, and at the same time, he branched out a trace of consciousness and entered the virtual universe to inquire about Rorschach's specific information. Brolin said, the talent of Rorschach is very high. Once he exchanged treasures from the castle, I wanted to send my men to snatch the treasures from his hands, but when my men chased after him, he let others ran away. My men discovered at that time that Rorschach not only possessed a domain, but also understood the power of the law of the origin of wind. He escaped from them by relying on the power of the domain and the law. And the law that came to the castle at that time was the law of the origin of wind, so I have reason to be sure that Rorschach is the person recognized by the law of the origin of wind. After hearing his grandson's explanation, Hargrave looked surprised and said, it seems like this child's talent is very high. After a pause, he continued, well, I have found out the information about Luo Xia. He is indeed Mingyu's subordinate. After the battle of the world within the world, he received 100 planet territories given by Mingyu. And Mingyu got the Skyzanking knife presented by Luo Xia and the others, although the Zhongkong knife was quickly bought by a general from Three Axe Mountains. Rorschach comes from a planet called Earth. Going to that planet is very troublesome. You need to go through a wormhole and then fly for nearly 3 years to get there. Hargrave looked at his grandson and continued, you want to find Rorschach, which is very troublesome. First of all, we are not sure whether he is still on the Earth now. Secondly, even if he is on the Earth, it is very difficult to go to the Earth. Time-consuming. And according to what you said, the child has been recognized by the original law, so sending someone at the cosmic level will easily lead to no return. To be conservative, you have to send a strong person at the domain lord level to defeat him. Get the treasure. But there are only 3 territory lords under my command. And more importantly, I have been very busy recently and need to train a group of disciples under my command. So Abu, Rorschach's matter is over for now. Brolin was a little disappointed, but when he heard his grandfather's words about training disciples, he was a little surprised and asked, Grandpa, why do you suddenly want to train those disciples with all your heart? Hargrave said, this is a task arranged by the Holy Land. Now in the vast universe, countless cosmic nations, numerous divine kingdoms and organizations are cultivating disciples seriously, and those strong men who work alone will also cultivate disciples extremely seriously. After all, time is running out. Brolin wondered, what? It's a decisive battle between the 2 peaks, Hargrave reminded. Brolin's eyes widened, Grandpa, you mean? His breathing quickened, and it took him a while before he regained his composure and asked, is it a battle between peerless geniuses or a battle between strong men? Hazirf said, genius battle. Brolin's heart raced. The so-called genius battle refers to the cosmic human peak genius selection battle. This is a selection battle for all stellar geniuses in the entire human realm. As long as they are stellar-level humans, they can participate in the war. Hargrave said, countless star-level humans from major cosmic countries and billions of galaxies are competing under absolutely fair conditions. The ones who can finally come out on top are the super peerless geniuses from countless galaxies. Why choose stellar level? Because the stellar level can tell a person's talent, understanding, and genius level. Conducting a selection within the scope of all universe countries, I don't know if our number 1 genius in the Black Dragon Mountain star region can be ranked among the top 1 million in the universe. Seeing that his grandfather was worried about whether his country's number one genius could enter the top 1 million, Brolin frowned slightly and said, "Grandpa, can't the number one genius of our Black Dragon Mountain Empire even enter the top 1 million? No, as for that, it's difficult." Hargrave glanced at his grandson. "You have to know that our Black Dragon Mountain Empire is just a subordinate country of Ganu Universe Kingdom, and Ganu Universe Kingdom rules thousands of universe nations. We want to rush in before Ganu Universe Kingdom. It's very difficult for 10,000 people, let alone the entire universe." Brolin's eyes widened. He didn't know this. Because the last Genius War happened tens of thousands of years ago. He was just born. "Although I know about the battle between geniuses and the strong due to my status, I don't know the specific situation in the battle between geniuses. And Hargrave has experienced genius battles. Naturally, we know the achievements of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire." He looked angry and shouted, "Shame! That is the shame of our Black Dragon Mountain Empire. It is also the shame of our Holy Land." He took a few breaths before calming down the anger in his heart and said, "So, this time, the Holy Land has issued an order, asking us world masters to train the disciples in our hands with all our efforts, and strive to get a good ranking in this genius battle." "I understand." Grandpa Brolin was slightly silent. "Indeed, the most important thing now is the genius battle. His little ideas are nothing in front of this grand event. You go back first." Hargrave waved his hand. Brolin saluted, turned, and left. March 9, 2066 in the Chinese calendar. Virtual Universe, Black Dragon Mountain Island. At this time, it was night, and the entire Black Dragon Mountain Island was lit up with stars. Suddenly, in the night sky, a huge banner appeared out of thin air. This article exudes light and looks extremely dazzling in this dark night. Everyone looked up and could see the words on the list. "Humanity in the Universe, Battle of Peak Geniuses. Once in a million years. Coming soon." It is a grand event jointly organized by Virtual Universe Company and all cosmic countries. Are you a genius? Can't find an opponent at the same level? Then join the Peak Genius Battle. Here, all the geniuses in the human realm will fight with you. If you want to know detailed information, please browse the official website of Virtual Universe Network through the virtual assistant. With the appearance of the blacklist, the whole world fell into an atmosphere of excitement and madness. Ha ha ha! The Peak Genius Battle is about to begin. Come on! I want to participate. All the billions of geniuses in the universe will fight together. A grand event for the entire human race. I heard someone say that if you rank among the top 1,000 in the entire universe, there will be huge and amazing rewards. I've heard about it too. And this time it's organized by Virtual Universe Company, so the rewards will definitely be extremely high. Who organized the last one? It's the Giant Axe Fighting Arena. Hurry up and check out the official website. On Earth, Kiri's Hima, Luo Xia and Luo Feng are now practicing here, and the vast Australian continent has almost become their back garden. Now the monsters here no longer pose any threat to the two of them. At this time, Luo Feng was practicing the first level of the divine weapon, the Phantom Sword style. Far away from Luo Feng, Luo Xia was suspended in mid-air, with golden secret patterns appearing all over his body, the secret patterns of the origin law of gold. After comprehending the secret pattern of the law of the ancient weapon, coupled with the affinity to the law of the origin of gold brought by the clone of the golden horned giant beast, Luo Xia has now understood the law of the origin of gold to a very deep level. Spend. As long as you take one step further, you will be recognized by the law of the origin of gold. Rorschach. Rorschach. Babata's excited voice suddenly sounded. Rorschach withdrew from the state of comprehending the origin of gold, looked at the extremely excited Babata, and asked, "What's wrong with you? Did you get the best equipment in the game? So excited?" "It's not the best equipment, Babata's little face turned red with excitement. She shouted, "It's a genius battle. The peak talent selection battle is about to begin." Over there, Luo Feng was a little surprised when he heard Babata's voice. It was rare to see Babata so excited. He took back his divine weapons and asked Babata, "What genius battle makes you so excited?" Babata shouted, "Hurry up and enter the virtual universe. You will know after entering." When Rorschach talked about the genius battle in Babata, his heart started to beat faster. Battle of Geniuses is the grand event of mankind that takes place once in 5,000 years finally about to begin. Luo Feng and Luo Xia returned to the villa in Kiri's Hima and entered the virtual universe. Their figures appeared in their villa. "Look at the sky," Babata pointed to the sky and said to Luo Xia and Luo Feng. The two brothers looked up and saw a huge black list. Universe Humanity, Peak Genius Battle. Can all stellar humans in the universe participate? Billions of Geniuses Battle. Luo Feng took a breath, his heart pounding, with a strong desire. Longing to fight with countless geniuses and climb to the top of the human race. On the side, Luo Xia was in the same mood. He really wanted to know if he could be the best in this genius battle. "Look, this is the specific information of the peak genius battle." Babata projected an interface, which was filled with specific information about the peak genius battle. The peak genius battle is divided into Universe Country Selection Battle and Peak Final Battle. First, the major universe countries will conduct internal selection battles, and those who win can participate in the final battle. The final battle will rank the final ranking. The top 1,000 in the universe ranking will have 3 major rewards. 1. According to the ranking, you will get a bonus ranging from 10 Hunyuan units to 10,000 Hunyuan units. 2. Get a place to enter the initial universe for enlightenment. 3. Become a core member of the Virtual Universe Company. Dear readers, because these 2 days are New Year's Day, Yunsong wants to take a break, so there will be fewer updates in these 2 days. I hope you can understand that there will be only 2 chapters today. Finally, thank the book friend Listen to Rain EB for the reward of 1,666 reading coins. Thank you book friend 140625075608481 for the reward of 200 Kidian coins. Thank you very much. At the same time, thank you all the book friends who subscribed and voted. Thank you very much. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 165. After reading the rewards, Luo Feng was a little surprised. 1,000 people can enter the initial universe. After Rorschach came back from the Kinwu auction, he told him about the scene of countless world masters and immortal level experts competing for a place to enter the initial universe at the auction. Babata nodded and said, "The rewards this time are very good, the bonus is very high, and there is also a place to enter the initial universe and become a core member of the Virtual Universe Company. These rewards are completely worthy of the top 1,000 super geniuses. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, the opportunity is very good, you should try it." Luo Feng listened to Babata's tone and asked, "What do you mean by trying? From your tone, it seems that it will be difficult for the two of us to enter the top 1,000. Luo Feng, you really underestimate the billions of geniuses in the universe. Let alone the top 1,000 in this universe, even the top 1,000 in the Ganu Universe Kingdom, it will be difficult for you to break into it," Babata said unceremoniously. Then, she looked at Rorschach and said, "Rorschach, on the other hand, has a chance to be among the top 1,000 in the universe." Luo Feng spread his hands. "Babata, are you prejudiced against me? Why, Xioxia, do you think he can be among the top 1,000 in the universe, but I can't even be among the top 1,000 in Ganu Universe Country?" Humph. Babata crossed his hands and looked at Luo Feng and said, "If you are like Rorschach and your stellar level is recognized by the original law, I think you can be among the top 1,000 in the universe. When Luo Feng heard this, he blinked and said nothing. Babata continued, I told you that there are very few immortal level powerhouses in the universe, but among the many cosmic countries combined, there are billions of star level powerhouses who worship the immortal powerhouses. Among these geniuses, there are those with strong bloodlines, those with extraordinary talents, those with strong understanding, those with tenacity, those who work hard, there are countless of them. Luo Feng, your biggest trump card now is the body of the golden horned giant beast. It gives you a super strong will and lowers the threshold for you to understand the laws. However, in the boundless universe, many geniuses have it from the beginning. Your current conditions. And they are older than you, some have lived for hundreds of years. These geniuses who are hundreds of years old need to have understanding, experience, and secret methods. Do you still think you can compete with others with your little trump card? Compare. Babata looked at Luo Feng and continued. Your biggest shortcoming is that your training time is too short. If you have the same understanding as Rorschach, this shortcoming will not matter at all. After all, in just over 20 years, Rorschach has achieved something that many realm masters have been unable to achieve, gaining recognition from the original law. Now he has also comprehended the law of thunder, the law of gold and the law of space. He is in terms of understanding, he can definitely be among the top 1000 geniuses in the universe, or even the top 10. Seeing Luo Feng's silence, Babata's tone softened slightly and she said, I'm not trying to hit you, I'm just telling you the facts here. Only by recognizing the facts, yourself, and being down to earth can you go further in the next genius battle. Of course, from the three aspects of will strength, domain, and law perception, if you are not compared with Luo Xia, you are very strong. At least the genius who swept across the Black Dragon Mountain star territory will have no problem. Being among the top 1000 in the universe is too far away for you, so you should fight first. If you enter the top 1000 in the Kinwu universe country, you will be considered successful. Rorschach knocked Babata on the little head. Babata covered his head and glared at him, why did you hit me? Luo Xia ignored him, looked at Luo Feng and said, brother, don't listen to Babata's nonsense, she is you, the CPU. He touched his chin with a smile in his eyes, I think our two brothers can definitely enter the top 10. After hearing Luo Xia's words, Luo Feng couldn't laugh or cry. He shook his head and said, what CPU, don't think I don't understand the plot before Nirvana. It's obviously a pua. As he spoke, he straightened his face and continued, but what Babata said is right. My current understanding of the field and laws is indeed not enough, but I also believe that in the next competition, I will get up. The first goal is to enter the top 1000 in Ganu Universe Kingdom. At the same time, in a vast divine kingdom filled with flaming mountains. A figure with red hair, his entire body bathed in flames, and a height of 7 or 8 meters, was suspended in the air. Beside him is a realm lord. In front of them are more than 1,000 star-level young people. Just listen to this man who is like a flame god say, you are all the most elite disciples of my Skyfire kingdom. As long as any of you can pass the initial preliminary round, enter the ring battle. He glanced at this group of young people with hot eyes. Just by looking at them, he felt like his soul was going to be burned clean. I will accept him as my personal disciple. If he can break into the top 1000 in our universe country, I will give him a galaxy as his territory. Now, get ready, don't let me down. More than 1,000 young people responded respectfully, yes, Lord God. The glory of our Black Dragon Mountain Empire rests on you. A low and hoarse voice sounded in the holy land of Black Dragon Mountain. A tall and burly man, wearing black scale armor and with black dragon horns on his forehead, stood on the top of Black Dragon Mountain. The space around him froze. In front of him, a group of realm masters were very respectful. And behind the realm masters, there was a group of young people of star level. Go, Fight for the glory of my Black Dragon Mountain. The big man with black dragon horns said lightly, and his voice spread throughout the holy land of Black Dragon Mountain, rumbling like thunder. Yes, Lord. In a certain galaxy, on a certain blue planet. This planet has almost no trace of scientific and technological civilization. But the warriors on this planet are very powerful, and there are countless star-level warriors. At this time, a bald old man in a white robe looked at the young man in white standing in front of him with a blood-red longsword on his back, and said, "Wait, there will be 100 star-level 9th-level warriors and spiritualists besieging you." The young man in white nodded gently, understood. As his voice fell, the old man in white robes gestured slightly, and a group of star-level 9th-level warriors and spiritualists flew over immediately, and they surrounded the young man in white. "Do it," the old man said indifferently. In an instant, the 100 star-level warriors and spiritualists immediately rushed towards the young man in white with murderous intent on their faces. However, the next second, the blood-colored sword light lit up, rendering the world blood red. The figure of the young man in white disappeared on the spot and turned into a series of phantoms. Puff puff puff. Blood splattered. In less than a second, 100 people died at the same time, their bodies were broken or their heads were thrown away. The old man in white robe saw this scene, smiled, and said to the young man in white, "Very good, you have made a lot of progress compared to the past. You are the most amazing genius that the teacher has seen in wandering billions of galaxies." The young man in white was slightly stunned when he heard the old man's praise. "Teacher, you..." Since he was accepted as a disciple by the old man, he has never received such obvious praise. Generally, it is okay or average. The old man in white robe looked at the green sky and sighed, "Now, I have nothing to teach you." The young man in white blinked his eyes, "Teacher, I..." The old man in white waved his hand, turned his back, and said, "Go and participate in the universe genius battle. With your strength, it is easy to enter the top 1000 in the universe. In the virtual universe company where there are many strong people, you can find a teacher who is suitable to guide a genius like you." Huh. After the voice fell, the figure of the old man in white disappeared from the sight of the young man in white. "Teacher," the young man in white stretched out his hand, "what is the genius battle?" No one answered him. On the desolate mountains of a certain planet, a young strong man holding a short knife laughed heartily. "Genius battle? All human universe countries in the universe will participate? Ha ha. Interesting, I too haven't met an opponent for a long time." His figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. And where he disappeared, there was a corpse of a first-level universe-level strongman lying quietly on the ground. It was still emitting heat. In the vast universe, countless geniuses were attracted by the opening of the Genius War. They entered the virtual universe to sign up. Luo Xia and Luo Feng also signed up on the first day. After that, the two brothers did nothing. They just worked hard to practice and improve their understanding of the law. Time soon came to April 16, 2066. On this day, Babata and Atuka reminded Luo Xia and Luo Feng to enter the virtual universe. As soon as he entered the virtual universe, Luo Xia saw the email sent by the virtual universe company. "Welcome to participate in the Universe Human Peak Genius Selection Battle. In this selection battle, more than 822.5 billion star-level masters have signed up in the GANU universe, which is 110 billion more than the previous session. This is something that makes our virtual universe company very happy. We guarantee that everything in the talent selection battle will be held under absolute fairness. Because some applicants are at the first and second levels of the star class, and some are at the 8th and 9th levels of the star class. So for fairness, select the real genius. The real elimination battle will be in the virtual universe. At that time, the physical fitness of all participants will be exactly the same, and they will be maintained at the 9th level of the star class. The telekinesis of everyone is the same, and they will be maintained at the 9th level of the star class. All participants have the same physical fitness and can choose any appearance. You can choose any grade of force weapons and telekinesis weapons. No more than 10 pieces. Remind participants that although the 4th and 5th level telekinesis weapons are powerful, they are weak and cannot be used at all. It is recommended to choose the one that suits you best. At the same time, you can choose the force suit, no more than the 2nd level, and you can get a space ring for storing food. Talent selection. The test is will, domain, experience, law perception, etc., and the external conditions are the same for everyone. This talent selection battle is divided into 2 stages. In the first stage, the top 1,000 masters from each of the universe countries are selected. In the second stage, the top 1,000 masters from each universe country are gathered together, and all the geniuses from many universe countries gather together for the final battle. The top 1,000 in the universe ranking are determined. Among them, the largest scale is the first stage. The universe country you are in is the Ganu universe country. The Ganu universe country has more than 822.5 billion participants. It is divided into preliminary elimination and ring showdown. Through the preliminary elimination, more than 822.5 billion participants will be eliminated and only 100,100 people will remain. Preliminary elimination of Ganu universe. First, 100 worlds will be divided in the virtual universe, and each world will be allocated more than 8.2 billion participants. More than 8.2 billion people will fight each other in the same world, killing others to earn points. The more they kill, the more points they will get. Everyone has only one life, and death ends. Looking at the final points ranking, the top 1001 in the world will be considered to have passed the preliminary elimination. Each world selects 1001 people, and 100 worlds will select 100,100 people. At the same time, the first in each world's points ranking will directly win 100 places in the top 1000 without the ring showdown. The remaining 900 places will be fought for by the 100,000 people in the ring showdown. There is an attachment after this letter, and more detailed information can be seen in the attachment. After reading this long email, Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other. Luo Feng said, "This preliminary selection eliminated more than 800 billion people and only 100,100 people were left. This is too crazy. No wonder Babata said that it was difficult for me to enter the top 1000 in the Ganu universe. It is absolutely fair. Everyone's physical fitness and mental power are the same." Luo Xia said. The two brothers were very excited while talking about the genius competition. After reading the email, Luo Xia and Luo Feng entered the state of cultivation again, and went all out to prepare for the genius competition 1 month later. Finally, May 16th arrived. This day is the day for the preliminary gathering of Ganu Universe. Many universe countries and organizational forces are instructing their subordinates to keep an eye on the points ranking. Some geniuses may not be able to enter the top 1000. But as long as the points ranking can enter the top 10,000, they are all excellent seedlings. These universe countries and organizations can win over these players with the top 10,000 points. Old and new organizations and forces are instructing their subordinates to let them do their best in the preliminaries. At this time, Luo Xia and Luo Feng have already seen their own divisions. "Brother, I am world number 23, what number are you?" Luo Xia asked Luo Feng. Luo Feng said, "I am world number 1. At this time, the two brothers had already arrived at the gathering area. Looking around, the dense crowds of people and various races were dazzling. Luo Xia and Luo Feng were both choosing suitable equipment for themselves. According to the instructions in the email, the two quickly chose their own equipment. Although the email reminded them that it was best to choose weapons that suited them, when choosing weapons, Luo Xia and Luo Feng both chose the 5th level telekinetic weapons Meteor Sword and Yan Shen Bing. Everyone, Please note that this preliminary elimination will be divided into 100 world areas and will be collectively teleported to their respective world areas. Please hurry up and check your own equipment. Once the preliminary selection begins, you can no longer apply for weapons. After Luo Xia and Luo Feng chose their weapons and uniforms, a voice came from the void. Collective teleportation is about to take place. Countdown, 60, 59, 58. Brother Luo Xia looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng smiled, come on. The next second, the countdown in the void came, 1. Buzz. As the clear universal language of the universe fell, more than 800 billion people on the continent disappeared in an instant. I have things to do in the afternoon and evening, so this is the only chapter today. Thank you for your understanding. Finally, I wish everyone a happy New Year's Day. See you in 24 years. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 166. Chapter 166 Bait and Fishing. Happy New Year to everyone. World Area Number 23. Rorschach found himself on the roof of a tall building after being slightly in a trance. This building is more than 300 meters high. The wind was howling on the top of the building, and when I walked to the edge, I could see the surrounding environment. This is a steel city. What you see is a giant city lined with steel, and every building has a cold metallic color. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. The gravity is at least tens of thousands times that of the Earth. Rorschach felt the gravity of the world and took a few casual steps on the roof. As he walked, he checked many messages sent by Virtual Universe Company. Participant, Luo Xia, Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Points, 0. Rank, none. World Area number 23. Time, the pre-selection elimination will last for 30 days. When the time is up, the entire pre-selection ends, and the winner will be determined based on the points ranking at the last moment. Note 1, World Area number 23 is a continent modeled after the Ironwood planet of the GANU universe in reality. There are a total of 82 cities on the entire continent, with a land area of 10.23 million square kilometers. Note 2, the hardness of all materials in this world is B9. Points rules, kill a player to get 1 point, and you can also get half of the opponent's points. Ranking rules, the dead are still ranked if their points are high enough. Even if the death preliminaries are terminated, half of the points lost will still make it possible to rank in the top 1001. Solemn reminder, everyone has only one life. After death, the preselection stops and half of the points are lost. Attached below is a detailed ranking list. Rorschach quickly read the information, rubbed his chin and muttered, according to the points rules, killing people only in the midterm will bring big profits. He glanced around and said, this is a good location, so just stay here for now. Rorschach sat down on the edge of the building. At an altitude of more than 300 meters, he could see most of the surrounding conditions. As soon as he sat down, a battle broke out in the distance. I saw a roar coming from a street, and then I saw two figures bumping into each other. This roar was like the sound of a gun running 100 meters. As it sounded, the entire steel city was filled with the sounds of fighting. Rorschach sat on the edge of the building, watching others fight with interest. Sudden. A golden light shot from a distance and came to Luo Xia in an instant. It was a young man with a pair of golden wings. He held a golden spear in his hand, his eyes were scarlet, and he stared at Rorschach coldly, like a golden eagle that had seen its prey on the grassland. I've got my sights on you. He stretched out two fingers and swiped them from in front of his eyes, pointing at Rorschach. Luo Xia clicked her tongue, I was thinking of taking action later, but I didn't expect to be targeted now. He was sitting on the edge of the building in plain sight, so it would be strange if no one noticed him. To other contestants, Rorschach's move was too arrogant. The golden-winged young man didn't waste any more nonsense. He held the spear and rushed towards Rorschach with golden light shining all over his body, like a blazing meteor. However, halfway through the rush, the golden-winged young man suddenly felt a breeze blowing across his neck. Immediately afterwards, he was shocked to find that his head was flying. At the moment when his consciousness left the world area, he saw his body rushing forward, weakly hitting the roof of the steel building. The young man whom he had targeted as his prey seemed to have not moved. He just stood there and looked at his flying head with a smile on his face. The bait is here. At the end, the golden-winged young man vaguely heard Rorschach's words, and the next moment, his consciousness had left world number 23 and returned to reality. That picture, several old men who were looking after the golden-winged young man looked at him in astonishment as he woke up, and asked in surprise, "Why were you eliminated?" The golden-winged young man called Natu subconsciously touched his neck, and then said uncomfortably, "I met a master and was killed in an instant." One of the old men in silver robes asked, "You have reached the 6th level of your domain. How could you be killed in an instant?" Several old people were in disbelief. That too was a genius with the 6th level of the domain that they, the realm lords, had cultivated with all their heart. How could he be killed instantly by one person? Natu recalled the young man with a faint smile on his face and shook his head blankly. To be honest, he didn't know why he was killed in an instant. "I just felt a breeze, and my head fell off. What kind of trick is this?" Virtual Universe, World Area 23. After Rorschach obtained the head and body of the golden-winged young man, he found a long steel rod. He hung the body of the golden-winged young man on a steel rod and placed it on the top of the building. Like a flag waving in the wind, it is very conspicuous and eye-catching. The bait has been put down, now. Rorschach clapped his hands, looked at his masterpiece, and smiled softly. "It depends on whether the fish around you can take the bait." His move was undoubtedly a provocation. Soon, someone saw the body hanging on the roof of the building, and also saw Rorschach sitting on the edge of the building. Some people couldn't hold themselves back and rushed directly to fight Luoxia. Not long after, the people who rushed up turned into corpses and were hung on the building by Rorschach. Rorschach, recognized by the law of origin, is invincible in this preliminary round. After all, among the more than 800 billion people participating in the GANU Universe Kingdom, only a small number of people have stepped into the threshold of understanding the original law. Most of the contestants have the most fields. They didn't even understand the law, and they didn't even touch the threshold of the law. And Rorschach has already crossed the threshold, entered the home of the law, and been recognized by the original law, that is, the head of the family. He is even more genius than those super geniuses. How could these players who didn't even understand the rules be his opponents? 3 days later, the roof of the building was covered with corpses. Fortunately, these corpses are all at the 9th level of the stellar level and will not rot or stink. Otherwise, Rorschach would not be able to stay at the top of this building. Integral. After killing another contestant who was attracted, Luoxia used his telekinesis to hang the body on the steel rod while looking down at his ranking. Participant, Luoxia, Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Points, 1892. Rank, 1 2023-2024. In the past 3 days, I killed 66 players and gained more than 1,000 points, but my ranking only rose to over 100 million. Luoxia muttered, "Sure enough, the efficiency of killing people in the early stage is too low. We still have to wait until the midterm or even late stage to find those masters and directly rob them of half of their points in order to quickly improve the ranking." While Rorschach was fishing, World No 001. Luo Feng is also lurking. After he killed a few people at the beginning, he found a house to hide in, and practiced the first secret technique of the divine weapon, the phantom sword style every day. This chapter is a bit late. I drank some wine with a friend last night and couldn't get up in the morning. Please forgive me. There will be an update tonight. At the same time, thank you to all readers who subscribed, tipped, and voted. Thank you so much. Finally, I wish everyone good health and happiness in the new year. Happy New Year's Day. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 167. Each world zone has a restricted altitude. No one can fly above 9 kilometers. And beyond these 9 kilometers, there are spaceships sailing in each world zone. In a single room on one of the spaceships, Luo Xia's family, father Luo Hongguo, mother Gong Xinlan, second brother Luo Hua, eldest sister-in-law Su Xian, second sister-in-law Zhen Nan, and two children Ping Ping and Xiao Hai, are all here. In addition to Luo Xia's family, Su Xian's brother Su Gang also brought his family to the spaceship. Su Gang said, "This genius battle is not broadcast. If you want to watch the battle of the qualifiers, you have to come to this world zone to take a spaceship to overlook it, and the fee is too expensive." Su Xian next to him heard this and smiled, "Brother, it's normal that it's not broadcast. There are more than 8 billion people, how can it be broadcast?" As he spoke, the spaceship started the outdoor scene simulation. Luo Hongguo and others looked down and could see the bloody fights in the cities on the continent below. This exterior simulation can also enlarge the image, so that people in the spacecraft can clearly see the appearance of those participants on the mainland. Of course, if it is in a building, the exterior simulation of the spacecraft cannot be detected. Mom, Dad's ranking has been falling. But Uncle, his ranking is slowly rising. Xiao Hai, holding a screen, is checking the points ranking of his father and uncle. He found that Luo Feng's ranking has been falling, but Luo Xia's ranking has been improving. Although the improvement is not fast, it is much better than Luo Feng. Ping Ping said on the side, "Dad must be reserving his strength." Xiao Hai glared at his brother and shouted, "There are so many people below. Except for Uncle, who can be Dad's opponent. Do I still need to reserve my strength?" Ha ha ha. The child's words made the adults in the single room laugh. Su Gang squatted down with a smile and said, "Your father and uncle are really powerful. Come, Xiao Hai, sit on your uncle's lap." No, Xiao Hai shook his head and continued to look at the screen. In his sight, Luo Feng's ranking was constantly declining, while Luo Xia's ranking was slowly rising next to him. 100 world zones were conducting preliminaries at the same time, and it was impossible to broadcast. So countless people in the entire GANU universe, from the top to ordinary citizens, spent a lot of money to take a spaceship to watch the battle from above these 100 world zones. In the sky above the 61st world zone, in a gorgeous spaceship, a group of young men and women were holding wine glasses, eating delicious food, and watching the world below through outdoor simulation. I only heard a burly man in a luxurious robe laughing, "Ha ha ha, Luo Tour, your Penjiao Empire has a good performance. Among the top 100 players, there is actually one from your empire. Thank you for the compliment, His Royal Highness." A man with a braid and a strange jade stone inlaid on his forehead responded with a smile. The prince looked at Luo Tour and said with a smile, "The Penjiao Empire has always been one of the vassal states under our GANU universe, with the most powerful people." After a slight pause, the prince in a gorgeous robe asked with a smile, "By the way, Luo Tour, I heard, your empire is going to make you the first heir to the throne." The person next to him heard this and echoed, "I heard it too, Luo Tour, you become the emperor of the Penjiao Empire, don't forget us." Luo Tour said with a smile, "It's all rumors, it hasn't been decided yet. And no matter what, we can't compare with the prince. He looked at the burly man and continued, "The prince is the only son of Ding Tianho, and he will definitely inherit the title of Ding Tianho in the future. The territory of Ding Tianho is 10 times larger than the area of our Penjiao Empire." The prince smiled with joy at these words. The so-called Ding Tianho is a powerful marquis of the Ganu universe. Every strong man who can become a marquis has at least immortal strength. After listening to Luo Tuer's flattery, His Royal Highness took the wine glass and looked at Brolin, who was silent, and asked, "Brolin, why don't I see the players from your Black Dragon Mountain Empire?" Others looked at Brolin and said, "Yes, Brolin, where are the players from your Black Dragon Mountain Empire? Last time, it seems that no one from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire entered the top 10,000, right? Well, the Black Dragon Mountain Empire has performed poorly in recent sessions. Diamond suit, diamond suit." Luo Tuer also looked at Brolin and said with a smile, "Now many masters are not in a hurry to make a move. Maybe after a while, a master will emerge from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Am I right, Brolin?" Brolin knew that these people were laughing at him. He forced a smile and said, "The competition has just started, and everything is hard to say." He said so, but he felt embarrassed in his heart. In the universe, this sense of regional honor and imperial honor is very strong. Especially in this situation. If a super strong person appears in the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, the entire empire will feel proud, and other star regions will also look at it with new eyes. At this time, because no player from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire entered the top 100, Brolin was laughed at by the people around him, and he felt extremely aggrieved. Suddenly, a figure flashed in his mind. That guy named Rorschach, wasn't he recognized by the origin law? He is from my Black Dragon Mountain Empire, right? If he participates in the competition, he should be able to see his name on the ranking list soon, right? Thinking of this, Brolin suddenly had some expectations in his heart. But when he thought that Rorschach had been offended by him, he felt as if he had eaten shit, and his expression was uncomfortable. For a moment, he didn't know if he wanted to see Rorschach's name on the ranking list. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince saw the change in Brolin's expression, and he thought about it and asked, "Brolin, don't you really have any masters in your Black Dragon Mountain Empire? Really or not? Has the Black Dragon Mountain Empire really trained some masters?" The others looked towards Brolin in surprise. Brolin glanced at His Royal Highness, then glanced at the others. When he saw that everyone's eyes were on him, he said, "Your Highness, you will know it soon." Although Luo Xia's existence made him, the 9th Prince of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, uncomfortable. But it cannot be denied that Rorschach's talent is extremely high. When he was in the realm within the realm, he was recognized by the original law and could do things that many realm masters could not do. If he competes, his ranking will never be low. The question we should be worried about now is whether that guy will break through to the cosmic level in less than 3 years. Brolin was a little worried. If that Rorschach breaks through to the cosmic level. But I can't participate in this selection. World Area 23. The roof of the building, which glowed with metallic luster, was covered with various corpses. It was roughly estimated that there were thousands of corpses. At first glance, the visual impact is very great. The whole building looks like a big tree covered with corpses. On the top of this big tree of corpses, sat a young man wearing black armor. He looked at his masterpiece with a calm smile, looking like a murderer and a pervert. On the 10th day, the bait can no longer attract fish. Rorschach saw that no one dared to approach him within 100 miles, and whispered secretly. Then he looked towards the arm guard and saw a virtual projection emerging, which recorded Rorschach's points and rankings. Participant, Luo Xia, Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Points, 12,701. Rank, 70,125. 10 days passed, and Rorschach used the corpse of the genius he killed as a provocation, attracting thousands of players to come to trouble him. The points of these players are not very high. The highest is just over 1,000 points. More powerful experts would not dare to trouble Rorschach easily when they saw the corpses hanging on the building. After all, if he doesn't have enough points, if he is killed by Rorschach, he may not be able to advance. These players will choose to avoid Rorschach. Only some players would come to trouble him if they felt that Rorschach's approach was too ostentatious and arrogant, and that he could kill so many people and had high points. If they could kill him, his points and rankings would skyrocket. As a result, all the people who came to see Rorschach ended up hanging on the building by him. Gradually, fewer and fewer people dared to come to Luoxia. In this Steel City, many people know that in Baikan district, there is a very scary contestant. Many geniuses at the 5th and 6th level in the field are no match for him. The corpses of talented players who come to find trouble are all covered up. He hung from the top of the building. Rorschach was also called the corpse hanger because of this bizarre practice. The strong wind howled, and the hanging corpse was blown around like a leaf. The whole scene looked extremely scary and weird. Luoxia stood up and looked into the distance. 10 days have passed. Since I can't catch any more fish, I should go out. Otherwise, if there is too little time, it will be a little troublesome to win the first place. The words dissipated with the wind, and his figure suddenly disappeared. After a while, he came to a narrow street. On this street, there was a tall man with 2 horns pulling out his giant axe from a corpse. The cold gleaming axe blade was dripping with blood. The man with 2 horns noticed Rorschach's arrival, his eyes were cold, and he tilted his head, the man who hangs the corpse. He looked at Rorschach, and suddenly an excited smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I've heard of your name. Corpse hanger. In this Steel City, you may be among the top 10 masters. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. I still wanted to find you. I didn't expect you to come to my door. Then, I will accept half of your points. Go to hell. The 2-horned man didn't wait for Rorschach to respond, and rushed out with the giant axe in hand. His body is extremely tall, more than 6 meters tall, and his body is extremely strong. The muscles wrapped in dark red armor are as sharp and angular as mountains. When he charges, it is like a battleship rushing into the battlefield, with a terrifying momentum. Although the man with 2 horns is tall and strong, he is extremely flexible when moving. He has understood a little bit of the original law of fire. At this moment, he charged towards Luoxia. His whole body was filled with scorching heat, and the cold axe blade was condensed with a layer of frightening red flames. Have you understood the slightest trace of the original law of fire? Rorschach sensed the power of the 2-horned man, and faced his charge. His expression was calm and unhurried. It was as if what was rushing towards him was not a master who had understood the power of the law, but just a child playing around with a giant axe. Do you know what the spring wind is like? Rorschach looked at his sword and murmured softly, as if he was asking the 2-horned man, or himself. It's gentle, warm. He answered himself, taking a step forward as if taking a walk. This step, as if teleporting, actually went straight through the body of the 2-horned man and came behind him. The 2-horned man suddenly stopped, and he felt a warm and gentle wind blowing through his body. This wind was obviously not strong at all, but it blew out the fire on his body and suppressed the power of the law of fire. The 2-horned man lowered his head slightly, and the next moment, his head fell off his neck uncontrollably. In the last flip of his vision, he saw Rorschach with his back to him, slowly putting away his long sword. In the spaceship above the 001 ST world area, Luo Hai, who was watching the rankings of Luo Xia and Luo Feng, suddenly shouted, "Grandpa! Grandma! Look! Uncle's ranking has suddenly jumped from more than 70,000 to more than 6,000. It's rising so fast. Luo Hongguo and Gong Xinlan looked at them in surprise. Why is it rising so fast? Su Xian thought for a while and said, maybe Xiao Xia has started to exert her strength. Luo Ping shouted at this time, Mom, look. Dad's ranking has also started to rise. He just rushed to 120,000 and now it has reached more than 60,000. Dad is so awesome. Luo Hai also saw Luo Feng's ranking at this time and shouted excitedly, Dad's ranking is still rising. It's almost 30,000. Wow, he has rushed into 10,000. Luo Hua, who was standing behind Luo Hai, saw at this time that Luo Xia's ranking suddenly jumped from more than 6,000 to more than 2,000. He raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled. It seems that Big Brother and Xiao Xia have started to exert their strength. And in the first world zone and the 23rd world zone, neither Luo Feng nor Luo Xia stopped their killing steps. Let's not talk about Luo Xia for the two brothers, he's invincible anyway. Let's talk about Luo Feng first. Now Luo Feng, with the help of Luo Xia, is much stronger than in the original book. He has already entered the threshold of the Golden Law. In this preliminaries, except for those real top masters, no one can resist his offensive. He can often defeat his opponents in a few rounds. Because Luo Feng kills people and doesn't let anyone go. This cruel madman-like fighting makes him called a madman. Luo Feng doesn't care what he is called. He just keeps looking for opponents and keeps killing. Finally, after killing someone again, his ranking soared to 997th. At the same time, in the 23rd world area, Luo Xia also killed a master with a sword and gained a lot of points. With that person's unbelievable eyes, Luo Xia's points ranking jumped to 98th place. In the 61st world area, on the gorgeous spaceship, a group of princes, and princesses from various star regions of the Ganu universe were chatting and laughing. Suddenly, an imperial prince shouted loudly, look! Brolin, 2 people from your Black Dragon Mountain Empire have made it into the top 1001. Huh, Brolin heard this and hurriedly looked at the screen of the spaceship. I saw a number appear on the screen belonging to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. The number of Black Dragon Mountain Empire's pre-selection places, temporary 2. This number was 0 before. But now it suddenly became 2. Brolin was overjoyed and said quickly, open it quickly. Beep. Next to the huge screen, a small screen immediately appeared, with some information on it. World Zone 1-997th, Luo Feng, Black Dragon Mountain Empire. World Zone 23-98th, Luo Xia, Black Dragon Mountain Empire. What? 1-997th, 198th. The other princes and princesses were surprised to see this ranking, especially Luo Xia's 98th, which made them stare wide-eyed. Brolin looked at the familiar name with a very complicated look on his face. That guy really participated in the competition and got such a high ranking. Ding Tianho's only son looked at Brolin and said in surprise, Brolin, it seems that your Black Dragon Mountain Empire has really cultivated masters, and not just 1, but 2. After being at the bottom for several sessions, is your Black Dragon Mountain Empire going to rise this time? Brolin forced a smile. Your Highness the Crown Prince praised. At the same time, many cosmic countries, divine kingdoms, and countless organizations noticed Luo Xia and Luo Feng. In particular, Luo Xia's name was put in front of many immortals and big figures. However, the ones who were really excited were the citizens and the emperor and nobles of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Because the Black Dragon Mountain Empire did not achieve good results in the previous genius battles, it was very shameful among the many vassal states of the Ganu universe. But now, Luo Feng and Luo Xia suddenly appeared. One won the excellent ranking of 997, and the other ranked 98th. This is like a pie in the sky, no, not a pie in the sky, but a Manchu-Han banquet. The citizens of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire were all excited. In a luxurious and vast hall, the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire was taking the nobles of the empire and the emperors of various vassal states to pay attention to the selection of the genius battle. Suddenly, they all saw the information that appeared on the screen placed in the center of the hall. When they saw that Luo Xia's ranking reached 98th and Luo Feng's ranking reached 997th, these powerful figures were excited. One by one, they congratulate the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire on the throne. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, I am so happy." The Emperor, who was wearing dark black imperial robes, laughed loudly. "Luo Feng and Luo Xia, very good. At least our Black Dragon Mountain Empire is not at the bottom this time, and looking at Luo Xia's momentum, we can go further." He looked at the names of Luo Xia and Luo Feng with burning eyes and said, "I want to reward them." "Reward them big." Others echoed. "Yes, I want a reward. Both Luo Xia and Luo Feng have made great contributions. Especially this Luo Xia. He is so proud of our Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Your Majesty is wise." Everyone was flattering the Emperor. At this time, a bald old man with strange four-ears said, "Your Majesty, it is still early for the preliminaries to end. When it is over, we will know how far Luo Feng and Luo Xia can go." As soon as these words came out, the excited people slowly calmed down. And the old man dared to say such disappointing things to the Emperor at this time. Obviously, his status was very unusual. The Emperor on the throne bowed his head slightly, did not dare to show his face to the old man, and said, "This Luo Xia's ranking should be stable. As long as he doesn't die, he shouldn't fall out of the top 1001. This Luo Feng, on the other hand, is a bit uncertain, but no matter what, they have made great achievements. Even if Luo Feng fails, I will reward him." Luo Xia and Luo Feng, who were participating in the war in the World Zone, naturally didn't know that people from the outside world were paying attention to them because of their rankings. At this time, they are still fighting to gain points for themselves and improve their rankings. World number 23. Rorschach walked slowly on the streets of the city. When the contestants saw him from a distance, they all ran away like frightened deer. "It's the corpse hanger. Run." Now Rorschach's name has spread in the city. With the combat power he has displayed, many people believe that he may be the most powerful being in the city. All contestants don't want to meet Rorschach at all until they have enough points. Because no one can defeat him. Even before there was a super genius who claimed to be the most powerful in the city and had crossed the threshold of the law of origin of fire, he was hung up on a building by him after meeting Rorschach. As the contestants fled, damp water vapor suddenly appeared on the road where Rorschach was. Rorschach stopped, stood still, and looked forward. "I saw an extremely tall figure slowly walking out of the suddenly mist. This man is more than 6 meters tall, wearing dark blue armor. On the exposed parts, you can see fine scales. The scales are like his skin, fine and thick. As he breathes, traces of water vapor come from it spread out from under the scales. This man with scales held a golden trident in his hand, looked down at Rorschach, and said in a dull voice, 'Human hanger, they say you are the strongest in the city. And I, the demon scale, happen to be the strongest in the city I was in before. I have killed many high-ranking geniuses. Now, I want to take it away. Half of your points.' He sounded confident as if he was telling the truth. Luo Xia narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at the extremely tall demon scales, and asked softly, 'What is your points ranking?' When Demon Lin paused the golden trident in his hand on the ground, made a dent in the thick metal ground, and said calmly, 'Number 24, if I kill you, I should be able to rank in the top 10. When Luo Xia heard this, he grinned with murderous intent, 'Oh, me too.' The next second, he suddenly disappeared. Mo Lin's eyes widened, 'So fast. Aha. The wind slashed away with a sharp sword light. Demon Scale used water vapor to sense this subtle fluctuation. Without thinking, he raised his trident to block it. Originally, according to Emolin's expectation, his trident could definitely block Rorschach's sword. However, when he raised the trident, he felt that Rorschach, who had cut off the blade, disappeared again. The long sword that would have cut down also disappeared from the front of the trident. Little tricks. Demon Lin snorted coldly and swirled the trident. The power of the law of water lingered on the trident, driving the water vapor around it. In an instant, thick water mist enveloped the area within 100 miles. At the same time, the figure of Demon Scale disappeared into the mist. Rorschach, who had lost his target, showed his body. He raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at the thick fog surrounding him. This mist could actually block his telekinesis, which was a bit interesting. Thanks to book friend 202301237134055 for the 688 reading coins. Thank you so much. At the same time, thank you to all readers who subscribed and voted. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to everyone. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 168. Chapter 168 Number 6. Human Hanger, you are indeed very strong, but that's all. Just accept the slaughter and let me take away half of your points. Demon Scale's voice came from the thick fog, and to Luosia's ears, it seemed to come from all directions, making it impossible to distinguish his figure in the thick fog. A smile appeared on the corner of Luosia's mouth, and she said with a slight smile, "No one has ever said that you talk a lot of nonsense." Call. Suddenly, a trident pierced through the mist. The surrounding thick fog rolled violently. For a moment, Rorschach felt that his perception was disturbed. It seemed that the trident was thrust from the front, but in fact, the opponent's trident was thrust from behind. If his understanding of the law of wind had not been recognized by the original law and he could clearly detect the changes in the surrounding airflow, he might not have been able to discover that the opponent's killer move was behind him. This magic scale, there's something about it? The trident stabbed fast and hard, lingering with the power of the law of water. When it struck Luoxia, it seemed as if a huge wave surged in. Luoxia sneered, and in a flash, he advanced instead of retreating. In Emolin's surprised mood, he rushed directly towards the trident in front of him. The trident that was thrust towards him was indeed illusory. And after Rorschach dodged the real trident stabbed from behind. The demon scale missed its attack and escaped into the thick fog again, disappearing from sight. Luoxia said, "This guy not only talks a lot of nonsense, but also has poor strength. Do you really think you can attack me by hiding in the thick fog and making a sneak attack?" His mental power was indeed unable to detect the magic scales through the dense fog. But when the magic scale moves and attacks, it will drive the airflow. Even if there is only a slight trace of the airflow, Rorschach can clearly sense it with his strength recognized by the law of the origin of wind. Therefore, even if Demon Scale uses the thick fog to launch a sneak attack, Rorschach can easily dodge it. Demon Lin, who was hiding in the thick fog, was very surprised. This is impossible. The attack he just performed was not simple. There was a genius who was ranked 36th in points before, but he killed him like this, and the opponent couldn't even react. The thick fog field he uses can not only weaken the opponent's sight and telekinesis, but also create an illusion that is the same as reality, making it difficult for people to guard against it. How did Rorschach know that the trident attack ahead was fake? What's impossible? Rorschach pouted, closed his eyes, and slowly said, "You do have some strength, but that's it? You can't even push me beyond my realm. It seems that your ranking of 24 is very watery." As he finished speaking, he had already sensed the abnormal movement of the airflow and captured the magic scales hidden in the thick fog. Stop being so arrogant. Demon Scale roared, and his voice reached Rorschach from the thick fog. He suddenly thrust the trident in his hand into the ground and shouted, "Heavy water space." Buzz. The trident bloomed with a dazzling blue light. This light infects the thick fog covering 100 miles in radius, turning them into drops of heavy water. This heavy water is different from what we call heavy water on Earth. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. Because this heavy water is heavier, each drop weighs thousands of tons. The heavy water condensed together instantly and turned into a three-dimensional space with a length, width, and height of 6 kilometers, trapping Rorschach. Demon Lin looked at Luoxia, who was trapped in the heavy water space, and said coldly, "I know that you discovered my true movements in the thick fog through the changes in the airflow. I didn't expect that you actually understood the law of the origin of wind. If you had not understood the law of wind, you would never have been able to discover me in the thick fog." Action. Now, since the thick fog is not enough, how should you deal with it if I trap you in this heavy water? Demon Lin was also in the heavy water space at this time, but he was like a fish in water in this heavy water space, and his activities were faster and more flexible than in the outside world. He was like a shark, swinging his legs, and suddenly rushed to Luoxia's side, stabbing hard with the golden trident in his hand. "Die to me." Laugh. The trident seems to have no resistance in this heavy water space. The power of the law of water lingers, driving the surrounding heavy water pressure, and thrusts out fiercely. Bite. However, Rorschach stretched out a finger and easily blocked the stabbing trident. What? The demon scale horror discovered that his trident, which could stab a first-order cosmic powerhouse to death, was blocked by Luoxia's fingers. His eyes widened with anger, and he looked at Luoxia's fingers, and saw a faint golden light lingering on his outstretched index finger. It was the power of the original law of gold. How is this possible? Amolin seemed to have seen some strange scene, his face full of shock and disbelief. "Didn't you understand the law of wind?" "Why?" Before he spoke, the golden light on Luoxia's index finger suddenly turned into a small golden sword. With a hiss, it cut through the layers of heavy water and penetrated Demon Lin's head. Why is there still the power of the golden law? Wow! After Amolin died, the heavy water space automatically dissipated, and Luoxia whispered for Amolin to ask the questions he had not asked. He casually took a steel rod from a distance, strung up Amolin's huge body, and then hung Amolin's body on a distant building in the posture of a javelin. "Of course I have also understood the law of gold. If you can force me to use the power of the law of gold, demon scales, I take back what I said before. Your 24th place result is not worth much." Rorschach clapped his hands and muttered, looking at the contestants watching in the distance. The contestants trembled when they saw Rorschach's gaze, and began to run away crazily without even thinking. The 24th ranked demon scale is dead. What is the origin of this corpse-hanging man? He defeated demon scale so easily. Run. I don't want to be hung from the building. In the luxurious hall where the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire and the emperors of the subordinate countries are located. At this time, it has become a boiling situation. No 6. Rorschach actually reached 6th place. Oh my God. Congratulations to your majesty, congratulations to your majesty. Your majesty, you are ranked 6th since the founding of our Black Dragon Mountain Empire. This is the first time that a genius has broken into the single-digit rankings. The emperor sitting on the throne had a smile on his face, laughed loudly, and said, "This Rorschach is really good. For such a peerless genius, our Black Dragon Mountain Empire cannot be stingy. We must reward him. He will be rewarded heavily. He is our Black Dragon, the pride of the Mountain Empire." At this time, even the old man with 4 ears sitting next to the emperor stopped saying anything disappointing. He just looked at Rorschach's ranking and showed the same excited smile as everyone else. At the same time, they were here in Luohongguo. The little kid Luohai also exclaimed excitedly, "Grandpa! Uncle's ranking has risen to 6th place. Uncle is so awesome." Su Xian, who was standing next to him, said, "Young man, I think I can compete for 1st place. There are still more than 10 days left until the end of the qualifiers." Su Gang said excitedly, "If Luo Xia can win the 1st place, that would be awesome. I think the rules say that as long as you can win the 1st place, you can represent GANU Universe country and directly enter the finals." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 169. The time of the preliminaries passed day by day. On the 27th day, Luo Xia's ranking finally reached the 1st place in the 23rd world. As for Luo Feng, his ranking was also rising. On the 30th day, which was the last day, his ranking soared and directly reached 51st place. And Hong's name also appeared on the rankings of other worlds. Hong finally ranked 999th. As for Thor, he met a genius who had comprehended the power of the law in the middle of the preliminaries and was eliminated by the other party. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. This year is really the year of the rise of my Black Dragon Mountain Empire. So many geniuses have emerged in this genius battle. Yes, we not only have Luo Xia, who ranks 1st and can directly represent the GANU universe to enter the finals, but also Luo Feng, who ranks 51st, Nabini, who ranks 860th, and Hong, who ranks 982 ND. The emergence of these geniuses is inseparable from Your Majesty's daily hard work and rule." In the hall of the luxurious spaceship, a group of leaders of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire were praising and flattering the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. The Emperor was also very excited sitting on the throne. How many years have passed since the founding of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire? When has such a grand occasion appeared? So many geniuses have emerged. Minister Libaru is right. This is the result of his hard work and rule. World number 23. Rorschach sat on the edge of a building, overlooking the surrounding environment. Below him, 2 corpses were hanging. One of the corpses ranked 8th in this world, while the other ranked 13th. These 2 guys knew each other in reality and were good friends. They didn't expect to be assigned to the same world this time. They were not together at the beginning, until they met each other in a cross-city fight. So the 2 began to cooperate, and their points continued to increase. In the end, one of them ranked 8th and the other ranked 13th. Even so, the 2 were not satisfied. After some discussion, they planned to trouble Rorschach. At this time, Rorschach's points ranking had reached 1st. As long as Rorschach was killed, the 8th-ranked person could become the 1st in one fell swoop. They thought it was beautiful and their strength was also very strong. One of them comprehended the law of the origin of fire, and the other comprehended the law of wind. The cooperation of the 2, fire borrowed the wind and could greatly enhance its power. On weekdays, they cooperated, even if someone who comprehended the law better than them would eventually die in their hands. But it was just wishful thinking. In front of Luo Xia, even if the 2 of them worked together, they were no match for him. He didn't even use the law of the origin of wind. He only relied on the unskilled law of thunder to kill the 2, and their bodies were hung on the building. How lonely it is to be invincible. Singing the song of his previous life softly, Luo Xia watched the countdown of the preliminaries was about to return to 0, stood up and stretched. The intensity of the preliminaries is still not enough, I hope that the intensity can be improved in the finals. Just as he finished the last word, the countdown to the end of the preliminaries also returned to 0. All the survivors in the 100 world areas disappeared instantly. Then these virtual worlds collapsed and dissipated one by one, turning into nothingness. At the same time, the final rankings in each world area began to be announced to the public. Luo Xia was teleported to the Black Dragon Mountain Island, an unknown area. As soon as he came to his senses, various prompts came to his ears. Then Babata's excited voice rang in his ears, "Rorschach? I knew you could do it. You really won the first place in your world zone. You are worthy of being the super genius I like." Rorschach laughed and said, "Babata, I can't hear you talking in there, I'm still a little uncomfortable." Babata spread his hands helplessly and said, "In order to be absolutely fair, the Virtual Universe Company prohibits any player from carrying intelligent optical computers and intelligent life. I can't do anything about it. The system of the Virtual Universe Company is too powerful and I can't compete with it." As she said, she reminded Rorschach, "Now your call applications have reached more than 1,000, and your emails have exceeded more than 2,000. Rorschach shook his head, "Don't worry about them, let's exit the virtual universe first." He thought about it and his consciousness returned to reality. This time, he entered the virtual universe in his bedroom to participate in the competition. After waking up, his mental power swept slightly and found that his father Luo Hongguo and his mother Gong Xinlan were still immersed in the virtual universe. After thinking about it, Rorschach returned to the virtual universe. This time, he appeared directly on the lawn of the villa he bought at the beginning. From reality to the virtual universe, if you have a property, you can choose to go directly to the location of the property. Xiao Xia. As soon as Luo Xia appeared, he was surrounded by people. But his family had been waiting for him here. "Okay. I really got the first place." Luo Xia's shoulder was hit by Luo Feng with a smile. "Uncle. You are so awesome." The little brat Luo Hai hugged Luo Xia's calf, looked up at him, and said admiringly. "Ha ha ha." Luo Xia bent down and picked up Luo Hai and Luo Ping, kissed each of them, and said with a smile, "I am your uncle. How can I not be awesome?" Luo Hai's eyes lit up, he waved his fists and said, "I want to be like my uncle and take first place in the future." Luo Xia looked at him and smiled, "Then you have to work hard." "Yes. I will work hard," Luo Hai nodded seriously. As the elder brother, Luo Ping did not have much desire for the battle. He did not say anything about taking first place. He was just held in Luo Xia's arms and smiled happily. "Luo Feng, Xiao Xia." At this time, a familiar voice came from the door. Luo Feng and Luo Xia turned around and saw Hong and Lei Shen. "Master." Lei Shen, Luo Xia and Luo Feng shouted and hurriedly welcomed them in. "Ha ha, good boy. You really bring honor to our earth." Thor came up and patted Rorschach on the shoulder, "You actually won the first place, so amazing." He said with a sigh, "Big brother and you two brothers are ranked in the top 1,000, I am a bit unlucky. In the middle of the preliminaries, I met a master from our world zone and was happily sent away by the opponent in one move. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit." Luo Feng was a little surprised, "Did he defeat you in one move?" Thor spread his hands helplessly, "No, that guy has definitely stepped into the threshold of the origin law, and I am not his opponent at all." Mr. Wu, who was following him, said angrily, "If you have a higher level of understanding and comprehended the Thunder Law, would you be sent away by someone in one move?" Thor looked at the white-bearded old man and shouted, "Old man, do you think everyone is the same as Rorschach? Is it so easy to comprehend the origin law?" Mr. Wu. Speechless. Indeed, not everyone is as perverted as Luo Xia. Hong stepped forward and patted Luo Xia and Luo Feng on the shoulders, and said with a smile, "I barely made it into the top 1,000. This ranking is actually very empty. You two, work hard. The stronger you are, the brighter our Earth will be in the future." Luo Xia and Luo Feng both nodded. "Speaking of which, Master, you have been away from Earth for almost 3 years. Where are you now?" Luo Xia asked curiously. Hong said, Thor and I are now in a place called Chiu Star. After leaving Earth, Thor and I went to the nearest planet to apply for the apprenticeship assessment of space adventurers, and then came to Chiu Star. He began to talk about what he and Thor encountered during their adventures in the universe. Because the world of Kanglan Star is now blocked by the Universe Mercenary Alliance, the new assessment planet was placed on Chiu Star. There is also a world of World Masters on Chiu Star. Hong and his team completed the task of the apprenticeship assessment a year ago. It was just because there were many missions from the Mercenary Alliance in the Realm Lord world on Chiu Star. After they accepted the mission, they stayed on Chiu Star. They hadn't seen each other for a long time. After taking Luo Hai and Luo Ping away to their sister-in-law Su Xian, the four of them sat down on the lawn of the villa and talked. The qualifying round was over. Because Luo Xia was the first in the 23rd world, he didn't have to participate in the ring showdown in the next month. But Luo Feng and Hong still needed to participate to compete for the remaining 900 places. In the next month, many forces and organizations came to them, hoping that Luo Xia and Luo Feng would join them. Even if they didn't join, they could put their names in their organizations. Most of these organizations came from the Ganu Universe Kingdom and the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, and a few came from other universe countries. Luo Xia and Luo Feng were so annoyed that they directly announced to the public that they were going to retreat. The family was a little quiet. In fact, Luo Xia and Luo Feng's claims were not false. The two brothers were indeed practicing in retreat. On this day, Luo Feng was practicing the first secret method of the Yan Shen Bing, while Luo Xia was comprehending the law of gold. Suddenly, Babata reminded him, "Luo Feng, Luo Xia, you two should hurry into the virtual universe. Someone is looking for you." Luo Xia opened his eyes helplessly, looked at Babata and said, "Didn't you say you were in seclusion? Why is there someone looking for you?" Babata said, "The identity of the person who came this time is different. He is an envoy specially sent by the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. You two are now citizens of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, so you can't miss him." Luo Feng put away the Yan Shen Bing and said, "Since he is a special envoy sent by the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, we really can't miss him." Luo Xia said, "Then let's meet him." The two brothers' consciousness entered the virtual universe. As soon as they appeared on the lawn of the villa, they immediately felt a huge pressure. "This is..." Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other. Luo Hua saw Luo Xia and Luo Feng, and hurried forward and said, "Brother, Xiao Xia, you guys go in quickly. You were not here just now, and my level was not high enough, so I had to let Hong and Lei Shen receive the guests." As Luo Xia walked into the house, he asked, "Second brother, do you know who is coming?" Luo Hua said, "The special envoy team sent by the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire is led by a Realm Master. But I saw that the Realm Master was very respectful to another person. The only one who can make a Realm Master respectful is probably the Immortal." Luo Xia muttered, and walked into the house with Luo Feng. There were already 12 people sitting in the living room. Except for Hong and Lei Shen, Luo Xia and Luo Feng did not know the other 10 people. Luo Feng. Luo Xia. Seeing the arrival of the Luo Xia brothers, Hong and Lei Shen secretly breathed a sigh of relief and stood up and shouted. Others looked over, and 8 people stood up. Only an old man with long silver hair and a man sitting in the main seat with eyes on his forehead were still sitting there, looking at Luo Xia and Luo Feng carefully. The old man with long silver hair stood up and introduced, "Luo Feng, Luo Xia, let me introduce to you. This is the great immortal existence from the Kinwu Universe Kingdom, the God Lord Kunzhara." When Luo Xia and Luo Feng heard this, their expressions were slightly startled, and they both bowed respectfully to the man with 3 purple eyes sitting on the main seat. "Greetings to the Lord God." Kunshe Luo nodded slightly and said calmly, "Luo Xia, Luo Feng, I am here to convey the order of the king." Luo Xia and Luo Feng were shocked, Are you the leader of the Witch Universe Kingdom? Sending me here represents the importance I attach to you. Kunshalugo continued, in this genius battle, our Ganu Universe country will eventually send 1,000 of the strongest geniuses to have a peak showdown with the geniuses of other universe countries. There are 1,008 cosmic countries in the entire universe, so by then, the number of human geniuses competing at the peak will reach more than 1 million. And Virtual Universe Company will only absorb the top 1,000 people in the end. God Lord Kunshalugo looked at Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng. On average, a universe country only has one quota. We, Ganu Universe Country, send 1,000 people, and we may not be able to get a quota. The king is very optimistic about you two brothers, especially Lugo Xia. He is a genius and has a good chance of getting that spot. It is a good thing to join the Virtual Universe Company and become a core member of the company. I will do the same in the Witch Universe Kingdom. There are big prizes. But if you fail and do not enter the top 1,000, you must join our Kinwu Universe Kingdom. With your talents, you are qualified to enter the forbidden area of our Universe Kingdom, the Kinwu Secret Realm. In this secret realm, you can also get the best training. Kunshalugo looked at Lugo Xia, finally looked at Lugo Feng, and said, "Little guy, your brother has a chance to hit the top 1,000 in the universe. As for you, although your talent and understanding are not bad, you are only good. I advise you not to have extravagant hopes. You can enter the ranks of our universe country. The secret realm of witchcraft is already the desire of countless people." After he finished speaking, he disappeared without waiting for Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng to respond. Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng blinked. The silver-haired old man hurriedly said, "Lugo Xia, Lugo Feng, congratulations to you. Don't take it too seriously. Most immortal beings have weird tempers." Rorschach shrugged. Lugo Feng said, "I won't care, and I am a star level and I don't dare to care." The silver-haired old man smiled and said, "Being able to send immortal beings to inform you shows that the Lord of Ganu Kingdom attaches great importance to talents like you. As far as I know, those of you who participated in the Genius War are the only ones who are notified that you are eligible to enter the secret realm of Ganu. People who are at the threshold of the original law." Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng nodded. Immediately afterwards, the silver-haired old man said, "By the way, I haven't introduced myself yet. I am Butashka, and I am here on behalf of His Majesty the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire." It turns out to be Mr. Butashka. Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng saluted quickly. Butashka smiled and said to the two brothers, "Now that Lord Kunsaro has left, let's relax and sit down and talk." Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng sat down. Butashka said, "I am here this time, firstly, to see the two most powerful geniuses in our empire, and secondly, on behalf of His Majesty the Emperor, I will give you a good reward." Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng looked at each other and raised their eyebrows secretly. His Majesty the Emperor probably doesn't know that his ninth son has a grudge against the two brothers, right? Lugo Feng said, "Lord Butashka, in fact we didn't do anything, we just did what we should do." The silver-haired Butashka shook his head and said, "No. Lugo Feng, Lugo Xia, you have won great honor for our Black Dragon Mountain Empire this time. Countless citizens of the empire are proud of it. You have made great contributions of." When Lugo Xia and Lugo Feng saw the old man talking about this, they could only listen obediently. Originally, His Majesty the Emperor wanted to reward you now. However, I suggested not to reward you yet. Rorschach and Lugo Feng looked at Butashka with some confusion. "Why, you, the Realm Master, are unhappy with us two brothers? If His Majesty the Emperor wants to reward you, just let him reward you. Why are you stopping him?" Butashka said, "Because, I want to reward you well after you all get the final ranking." He looked at Rorschach. "For example, Rorschach, if you can break into the top 1,000 in the universe rankings, I will suggest that His Majesty the Emperor reward you with 10 galaxies. 10 galaxies. Hong and Lei Shen were both surprised. Butashka was surprised to see Luo Xia and Luo Feng, smiled slightly, and continued, as for Luo Feng, as long as you can break into the top 1000 of Ganu Universe Kingdom, His Majesty the Emperor will grant you a galaxy. Luo Feng blinked, a galaxy? The Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire is so generous. Butashka said, as far as I know, your first planetary territory is on the Earth, and the location of the Earth is in the Milky Way of the Silver Blue Empire. Therefore, as long as Luo Feng you can break into the top 1000, you can get the entire galaxy. Lord Butashka, this galaxy is the territory of the Silver Blue Empire. Luo Feng said hesitantly. Butashka suddenly pointed at a handsome man in white and said, don't worry, this is the Silver Blue Empire's Emperor Yaiwei. What I said has been agreed by the Silver Blue Empire's royal family. Luo Xia and Luo Feng said to the Silver Blue Empire's Emperor. The Emperor looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng with a smile on his face, and said, I have long wanted to meet Mr. Luo Feng and Mr. Luo Xia. If Mr. Luo Feng can manage the Milky Way, it will be an honor for our Silver Blue Empire. Luo Feng looked embarrassed and said, this reward is too high, and it is very difficult to break into the top 1,000. Butashka sighed lightly, it is difficult. The military force of our vassal state is much weaker than the star field directly under the Ganu universe. In the last session, we did not even make it into the top 10,000 of the universe. But Luo Feng, you still have hope. As he spoke, he projected a screen in front of him. This is the information collected by our empire. I will send it to you now. You can take a closer look later. It should be helpful for your arena showdown. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. Is it the information of those contestants? Thank you, Lord Butashka. He thanked him. Butashka smiled and nodded, and said expectantly, work hard. In Ganu Universe, you represent the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. When you fight in the peak battle among many universes, you will represent our Black Dragon Mountain Empire even more. Well. Luo Feng nodded. Butashka looked at Luo Xia again and said with a smile, Luo Xia, you have won the first place. You don't need to participate in the ring battle next. You can directly represent Ganu Universe in the finals. I hope you can get better results in the finals. Thank you, Sir Luo Xia responded with a smile. Then, the old man chatted with Luo Xia and Luo Feng for a few more words, and then took the Emperor of the Silver Blue Empire away. Time passed, and the day of the ring battle came in a blink of an eye. The rules of the ring battle are very similar to the rules of the Dota game, and there is also a loser group. Meaning, those who lose in the first game will fall into the loser group. Then fight in the loser group until the final points are enough to represent Ganu Universe in the finals. The ring melee is divided into 1000 groups. 200 sets a day for 5 days. Among the people who appeared on the first day, there was a person from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, Nabani, who ranked 860th. This Nabani is also a genius. But now those who can fight on the ring are all geniuses. His strength is not very strong, and he was eventually killed and eliminated. After Nabani failed, it was Hong's turn to play. Hong's domain has been developed to the 6th level. Although he has not comprehended the power of the law, with his unique state of mind and strong combat IQ, he has almost exerted the power of the domain to the extreme. It has to be said that he is worthy of being the first person on Earth. Hong's comprehension and combat talent are almost the most powerful Earthlings except Luosha. If Luo Feng did not have the adventure of the Golden Horned Beast, he might not be able to match Hong. Because of Hong's outstanding performance, a powerful realm master also noticed Hong. It's just a pity that Hong met a beautiful warrior who comprehended the law of water on the ring, and was killed by the other party and eliminated. The realm master who paid attention to Hong did not feel disappointed after seeing Hong being eliminated. He asked the person next to him, is this little guy from our Black Dragon Mountain Empire? Do you have his information? Yes, the person next to him answered respectfully. If you look closely, you will find that the person standing next to the old man is also of extraordinary status. There is a mark of thunder on his head. He is a realm master recognized by the origin law. This person is none other than Tian Chen, the realm master of Sanfu Mountain. He once appeared on Kanglan Star and used the last password of the inheritance crystal ball to exchange all the wealth of the grandfather of the ninth Prince Brolin. Zhang Tianchen said, "This man is called Hong, and he has a very good relationship with a young man called Lei Shen. According to deduction, they all come from a planet called Earth in the Silver Blue Empire. On this Earth, two more powerful geniuses appeared, one won the first place in World Zone 23, and the other won the 51st place in World Zone 1. Earth," the old man frowned, "it's a planet I haven't heard of, but three geniuses appeared at once, it's interesting. These are all speculations of our Sanfusion intelligence organization. The specific situation is not well understood," Zhang Tianchen said. After a pause, Zhang Tianchen seemed to remember something and said, "Military Lord, more than 2 years ago, a domain lord under my command named Minjiao reported a message saying that Luoxia was very likely to have been recognized by the origin law at the star level." The old man was shocked and said subconsciously, "This is impossible. Even the realm lord may not be able to obtain the recognition of the origin law, so how could a star-level guy do it?" Zhang Tianchen said, "We didn't believe it at first, but at that time, in the realm created by the realm lord Kabu, the origin law of wind did come. And Minjiao said that Luoxia had shown an extremely amazing understanding when he was in the killing field and comprehended the law of wind. At that time, our people in Sanfu Mountain wanted to contact Luoxia and recruit him into our organization, but they disappeared soon afterwards, and it took a long time to go to Earth, so this matter was temporarily suppressed." The old man blinked and suddenly smiled. "The stellar level has been recognized by the original law. I kind of want to meet this Hong and the Rorschach you mentioned." Zhang Tianchen said respectfully, "I will make arrangements." After Hong was eliminated, it soon came to Luo Feng's ring battle. On this day, Rorschach, his family, and friends all came to the island where the arena battle was held to watch the battle. "Uncle, do you think my father can win?" Luo Hai was held in Luoxia's arms and looked up at him and asked. Luoxia smiled and said, "Have confidence in your father, he will definitely win." Luo Ping, who was held in Luo Hua's arms, nodded his head and said, "Yes, Dad will definitely win." Luo Hongguo was sitting next to Luoxia. Hearing the words of Luoxia and his grandchildren, Luo Hongguo asked Luoxia, "Xiao, can your eldest brother really win with his current strength?" "Dad, don't worry." Luoxia stayed with his eldest brother every day and knew Luo Feng's strength well. He looked towards the fighting arena in the center of the island. The contestants were already entering the arena. As the hot host introduced them one by one, the audience burst into warm applause and cheers. "I'll tell you the truth," Luoxia said confidently, "as long as the elder brother is more steady, those people on the field will not be his opponents." When Luo Hongguo and Gong Xinlan heard this, they felt relieved and laughed, "That's good, that's good." Sure enough, after the game started, Luo Feng showed off his overwhelming strength. He used the divine weapon and showed a domineering attitude on the court, like a god blocking a god and a Buddha blocking a Buddha, crushing and beating a group of geniuses. Let the other masters choose to avoid the battle. As Luo Feng won and qualified for the finals, all the citizens of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire cheered. In a magnificent palace, the supreme ruler of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, His Majesty the Emperor, also patted the throne and shouted, "Okay. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations, Your Majesty." Someone below immediately stood up to congratulate. The third prince also stood up and said, "Father, this Luo Feng will definitely be among the top 1000 in the Qinwu Universe Kingdom." Together with his younger brother Luoxia, we have two people in the Black Dragon Mountain Universe Kingdom who can participate in the finals of the Genius Battle this year. Who dares to say that our Black Dragon Mountain Empire is weak? Realm Lord Butashka looked at the weapon used by Rorschach and murmured in disbelief, the God-evolving weapon actually used the God-evolving weapon. Another Realm Master also said, yes, this Luofen uses the divine weapon. The Emperor was surprised and said, the ancient weapon is one of the 9 magic weapons of the Spirit Master. I thought his dark golden long stick was some kind of close combat stick weapon. I didn't expect it to be the ancient weapon. Butashka said. The secret technique that Luofen used just now should be the first level of the illusion sword style of the divine weapon. A star-level person who can perform this first level is basically invincible among people of the same level as a star level 1. Even if he lets go, in the entire Kinwu Universe Kingdom, there are very few people of the same level who can defeat Luofen. The Realm Master next to him also said, being able to use the first level of the divine evolution weapon proves that Luofen has understood the origin law of gold. There are only a few hundred such geniuses in Kinwu Universe. The Emperor couldn't help but said, even Luofen is so powerful, so how powerful is Luoxia who won the first place? Butashka and the Realm Lord next to him looked at each other and said, Your Majesty, I wonder if you still remember what happened in the realm within the realm created by the Thunder Realm Lord 3 years ago. I remember. The Emperor thought for a moment and immediately remembered the incident in the Thunder World. After all, it was a treasure within a world. It was a big fuss at that time, and the entire Black Dragon Mountain Empire had legends about it. He looked at the 9th Prince Brolin who was standing in the crowd and said, I remember that at that time, Laoju was training in the Thunder World and experienced that incident personally. Lord Butashka, we are not talking about Rorschach. What happened? Butashka glanced at Brolin, who was shaking and sweating, and continued, Your Majesty, because we have recently collected intelligence and found that Rorschach and Luofen were also people who experienced the Thunder World incident. The entire incident at that time, what attracts the most attention is the inheritance and legacy left by Thunder Realm Master. When he said this, his tone paused slightly, and then continued, however, in this incident, there is another thing that deserves attention, and that is that someone has been recognized by the original law in the world within the world. The Emperor blinked and said, Lord Butashka, those who can be recognized by the original law are basically the peak world master level. I remember that the Thunder World was banned by the Universe Mercenary Alliance at that time, and no one stronger than the star level could enter. How can anyone get the recognition of the original law? As an emperor, he takes care of everything. But the Emperor was also very concerned about this kind of incident that involved all major organizations in the country. He had a general understanding of what happened that year. Naturally, we know the coming of the original law. Butashka said, Your Majesty, the question you asked is also what surprises us the most. Logically speaking, only the Realm Lord can obtain the recognition of the origin law. Some peerless geniuses can also obtain the origin law at the Domain Lord level. Recognition, but the stellar level is recognized by the original law. We didn't believe this at first, but after careful deduction, only the star level is recognized by the original law can explain the phenomenon of the original law coming in the world within the world. According to the intelligence collected, Rorschach and Luofen were in the realm within the realm at that time, and before entering the Thunder World, Rorschach had demonstrated the power of the law of the origin of wind that he had comprehended in the killing fields. As soon as Butashka said these words, the entire palace fell into silence. After a while, the Emperor said in disbelief, could it be that, Rorschach is the star recognized by the original law? Butashka nodded and said, it should be Rorschach. Not long ago, I went to the virtual universe to see Rorschach himself. I did vaguely sense the fluctuations of the original law in him. That kind of fluctuations is the same as what I felt when I saw Lord Hargrave. The fluctuations are very similar. He looked at the shocked emperor and said with a smile, "So God Lord Kuncha Ludo speculates that Ludo Xia at least has the strength to break into the top 100 in the universe." Hiss. As soon as these words came out, the entire palace took a breath of cold air. The ninth Prince Brolin's calves softened and he knelt on the ground. He said tremblingly to the emperor above, "Father, father, I am guilty." The emperor was stunned and looked at Brolin coldly. "What crime do you have?" Brolin gritted his teeth and began to tell how he had become enemies with Rorschach. Every time he said something, the emperor's face became darker. By the end, everyone in the palace was looking at Brolin in surprise. "You are really my good son," the emperor slapped the dragon throne and roared angrily. "It's over. It is impossible for the ninth prince to inherit the throne in this life." Hearing the emperor's roar, many people had such an idea in their minds. The other princes looked at Brolin with gloating eyes. Hargrave stood up at this time, looked at the emperor and said, "Your Majesty, I will personally take Abu to plead guilty to Rorschach and the others." The emperor looked at Hargrave and restrained his anger slightly. After a while, he said coldly, "Then I'll trouble Mr. Hargrave. Abu, let's go." Hargrave glanced at Brolin and led him out of the palace. Virtual Universe, Black Dragon Mountain Island. After participating in the duel in the ring, Ludo Xia and his family returned to the villa. At this time, they were celebrating Ludo Feng. Suddenly, a cheerful voice sounded, "Ha ha ha, Rorschach." Ludo Xia turned around and saw three people standing outside the villa. Standing in the middle was an old man with gray hair and a kind smile. On the left is a man wearing a crimson shirt, and on the right is the burly territory Lord Mingyu. Lord Minjiao, Ludo Xia and the others quickly stood up and saluted. Mingyu said, "I am not an adult today, Ludo Xia, Ludo Feng, let me introduce to you. This is General Tian Chen, the general of our Three Axe Mountains. Among all the realm lords of our Three Axe Mountains, he is the top one of the strong ones." Rorschach and the others shouted respectfully, "I've seen the general." Zhang Tianchen nodded slightly and looked at Ludo Xia. As a realm master recognized by the original law, he vaguely sensed the same aura from Rorschach's body, the aura of the original law. It seems that Mingyu's guess is correct. As expected, this young man named Ludo Xia has been recognized by the original law in the world within the world. Mingyu then introduced, "This is the military leader, one of the three founders of our Three Axe Mountains." Ludo Xia and Ludo Feng were startled and quickly saluted, "Military lord." Yes, the old man nodded slightly and looked at Ludo Xia. Suddenly, he smiled and said, "It's really amazing that you have been recognized by the law of the origin of wind at the stellar level. Little guy, you are very good." Ludo Xia raised his eyebrows and said respectfully, "Military lord, that's a ridiculous compliment. There is no need to be modest. Even when I was at the stellar level, I had only just crossed the threshold of the original law." The old man shook his head slightly. "You can be recognized by the original law at the stellar level. You are definitely a genius among geniuses. Maybe you can get the first place in this genius battle." The old man said, and then added, "You should be robbed by the virtual universe company, so I won't waste my time on you. Where is Hong? I came to find him. I heard that you are from the same planet." Ludo Xia blinked. This old man has such a personality. Ludo Feng said, "I will contact him immediately. Lord Commander, Lord Tianchen, and Lord Minjiao, please come in and sit down." The old man nodded, led Tianchen and Minjiao into the villa, and sat down in the living room. Su Xian and Zhen Nan hurried over to pour them tea, and then pulled Ludo Hai and Ludo Ping away, who wanted to watch the fun in the living room. Ludo Xia and Ludo Feng sat down and talked with them. Soon after, Hong came over. Immediately afterwards, the old man took Hong to the study room of the villa to chat alone. Not long after, the old man took Zhang Tianchen and the others away. Ludo Xia looked at Hong curiously and asked, "Master, what is that military leader looking for you for?" Hong said with a smile, "He wants to accept me as a disciple. Speaking of which, I am also a generation master on earth. Now others want to accept me as a disciple. However, that old gentleman is much better than us in many places. He can indeed as our teacher. I was ready to become a disciple just now." Thunder God also followed Hong. When he heard this, he was surprised and said, "Brother, you didn't become a disciple." Hong nodded and said, "If you want to become a disciple, you have to wander with him for more than 20,000 years. So I am a little hesitant about whether to become his disciple." Babata popped up at this time and said, "I just checked, that old man is Luo from Sanfu Mountain. He is known as the Lord of Time. Many immortals are on good terms with him and treat him as an equal. Some lords who want to break through the law of time are willing to listen to his advice. He is a truly remarkable person in Black Dragon Mountain." Luo Feng was a little surprised. Because Huanbo is a strong man among the immortals. Babata usually doesn't think much of those lords, but now he admires Luo so much. It seems that the title of Lord of Time is well deserved. Mr. Wu glanced at Babata and said, "Little brats know how to brag. Do you know how difficult it is to comprehend the law of time? How dare a Lord of Time call himself the Lord of Time? You dead pervert who has been imprisoned for tens of millions of years, you know nothing." Babata pointed at Mr. Wu. "When you were imprisoned, Luo rose up. You don't know anything. Why are you barking here? Listen to the words of this demon." "You little brat," Mr. Wu roared. Babata was not to be outdone, and roared, "You are the brat. I have been traveling in the universe with my master for tens of millions of years, and I have lived longer than you." Rorschach and the others looked at each other and shrugged. These two intelligent beings are born to clash with each other, and they will quarrel whenever they are together. They can't stop it either. Sorry, I'm late. Thank you all readers for your subscriptions, rewards and votes. Thank you very much. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 170. After the melee in the ring, it is the one-on-one arena showdown. The winner advances and gets a place in the finals of the universe. The loser enters the loser group and then a one-on-one showdown. Each person will fight more than 9,000 battles in total. The top 275 players will get the remaining places. Because Hong and Nabini have been eliminated in the melee. Now, Luo Feng is the only one who represents the Black Dragon Mountain Empire and the Earth. The first three opponents assigned to him by the Virtual Universe Company are okay, and their strength is not as good as Luo Feng, but the fourth player is a genius who sent Thor away with one sword. His nickname is Savage and his name is Rong Jun. He is very strong. Luo Feng quickly defeated his opponents in the first three duels. But when it came to the showdown with Rong Jun, an accident happened. In the audience, Luo Xia suddenly frowned, looking at Rong Jun who was exerting the power of the space law in the fighting field, and murmured, "Big brother is going to lose." This Rong Jun not only comprehended the law of Earth, but also the law of space, and the degree of his comprehension of the law of space is at the same level as the comprehension of the law of Earth. When he exerts it, he can already leave a real phantom in the space. And Luo Feng only comprehended the law of gold, and the law of space has only touched the threshold. Although he has mastered the phantom sword style of the Yan Shenbing and can exert two phantom swords, he is no match for Rong Jun's burst. Sure enough, after Luo Xia said that the big brother was going to lose, Luo Feng in the field was killed by Rong Jun with a knife. Looking at Luo Feng's falling body, Luo Hai and the others exclaimed. Luo Xia looked at Rong Jun whose body was pierced, and raised his eyebrows slightly. This guy is quite strong. This is a virtual universe. Even if he dies, he is not really dead. So even if Luo Feng is killed, Luo Xia and the others are not worried. At most, I am afraid that Luo Feng's confidence will be hit. But Luo Xia, who often practices with Luo Feng, knows how strong his elder brothers' will and state of mind are. Such a small setback can't affect him at all. At the moment, Luo Feng is probably reviewing this failure in reality. At the end, on the sky island above the Gana continent, in a huge building, there sat great and eternal beings. They sat high on the throne, discussing the battle just now. How long has it been since this level of battle occurred in the previous genius battles of our Ganu universe country? It was more than 300 years ago, when the Iron Army Lord was still at the 7th level of the star class. His battle was comparable to this one. Alas, more than 2 million years have passed before such a battle appeared again. This time, this Rong Jun will definitely be ranked second in our universe country, and the overall universe ranking should be in the top 1000. As for his shouting to compete for the first place, the possibility is very low, but it is very likely to rush into the top 10. If there was no Luo Xia, Rong Jun's strength should be the first among the geniuses of our universe country, right? It is said that Luo Xia has been recognized by the law of the origin of wind. I don't know if it is true or not. I got the news from Kun Luo. It is true. Kun Luo met Luo Xia on behalf of the king and sensed from him the breath of the origin law. It's amazing that he has been recognized by the origin law at the star level. With his genius level, why didn't the virtual universe company contact him? Maybe the virtual universe company wants to test him again. Since Luo Xia has been recognized by the origin law, can he compete for the first place in this genius battle? It's difficult. I heard that there is a super genius named Bolan who has comprehended extremely profound space laws. Some realm masters are not as good as him. If the two meet, it is hard to say who is stronger. Bolan? I have heard of it too. Anyway, with Luo Xia and Rong Jun here, our universe country should not have a bad result in the genius battle this year. That's right. Luo Xia and the others naturally didn't know that a group of immortals were talking about them. Now that Luo Feng lost the decisive battle in the ring, he fell into a long loser group battle. Fortunately, the battle intensity in the loser group is very low. Luo Feng practiced while competing, and he never lost a battle again. Time passed day by day. One day in the second year of the loser group competition, in the real world, on Mars. Luo Xia sat cross-legged on a huge monster, surrounded by a rich golden light. Under the reflection of this golden light, he was like a golden god of war, exuding a trembling breath. This huge monster, with a body of 6 kilometers long, was like a mountain, majestic and heavy. It was Luo Xia's clone, the golden horned beast. 2 years later, the strength of the golden horned beast had been promoted to the 6th level of the universe. Moreover, because the golden horned beast was the darling of the law of the origin of gold, Luo Xia took advantage of this advantage and madly comprehended the law of gold in the past 2 years, and finally made a breakthrough today. At this time, Luo Xia and the golden horned beast were bathed in golden light, and the most yang and strong breath burst out from them, containing an amazing breath of law, which made the space within a radius of 100 miles faintly vibrate and fluctuate. Far away from Luo Xia, Luo Feng and Babata looked at Luo Feng sitting on the golden horned beast with serious expressions. Babata, is Xiao Xia going to make a breakthrough in the law of gold? Babata nodded his little head, looking quite excited, and said, that's right. His understanding of the golden law should be recognized by the original law. As Babata's words fell, a terrifying and powerful aura descended. In the sight of Luo Feng and Babata, it can be seen that Roars Hasa and the golden horned giant beast are both shrouded in the extremely powerful aura of law, and the golden secret patterns are lingering around them, shining brightly. Under the breath of this original law, Luo Feng could hardly breathe. But his state at this time was very mysterious. When he saw the law of the origin of gold coming, he suddenly entered a state of enlightenment. The rule of gold. Luo Feng was immersed in the aura of the golden law. In this state, his understanding of the golden law continued to improve. Babata noticed this and was quite surprised, but soon smiled, showing two fangs. After this incident, Luo Feng's understanding of the law of gold is very likely to reach a higher level. On Rorschach's side, the surrounding space trembled slightly, and then, a drop of golden water appeared out of thin air. It dripped down, fell directly on Rorschach's head, and penetrated into Rorschach's sea of consciousness. The golden horned giant on the original nucleus of the beast. On Rorschach's blue gold ball, the water droplets merged into it, making the golden color a little more dazzling. At the same time, there was also a faint hint of gold on the original core of the golden horned beast clone. At this moment, Rorschach was recognized by the law of the origin of gold. In the center of his eyebrows, next to the original cyan mark, there was a mark of a golden sword, faintly exuding heart-stopping law fluctuations. And on the forehead of the golden horned giant beast, a larger golden sword mark also appeared. When the golden sword seal appeared, the golden light lingering around Luoxia and the golden horned beast slowly converged and was absorbed into their bodies. Rorschach opened his eyes, golden luster flashing in his eyes. He stood up, and his whole body seemed to turn into a long golden sword with incomparable sunlight. With a slight movement of his finger, golden light condensed into small golden swords, which flew out and drew lines in the air. Golden mark, space seems to be cut open. Babata was sure that even a strong man of the 5th and 6th levels of the universe would be injured and killed if Rorschach used this golden sword at will. This is how powerful you become after being recognized by the original law. Every move he makes is like God's help, and his random attacks contain powerful power and aura of law. In the distance, after Luoxia was recognized by the original law and restrained his aura, Luo Feng came back to his senses from the state of vague enlightenment. He looked like he was still unfinished, and after a while, he finally came back to his senses and said excitedly, "Watching Xioxia's process of obtaining the recognition of the law of origin actually gave me a deeper understanding of the law of gold." As he said that, Luo Feng suddenly controlled the ancient weapon and drew out phantom swords, 1, 2, 7. He has created 7 phantom swords. This is powerful. You know, 2 years ago, he almost defeated Rong Jun, who understood the law of earth and space using only 2 phantom swords. Now that he can condense 7 phantom swords, he is definitely stronger than Rong Jun at that time. Now that I still have 1 year, I can master the 2nd level of the divine weapon before participating in the finals. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. The 2nd level of the ancient weapon is called Tian Tian. As long as you can separate the 9 phantom swords and fuse them to form a real golden sword, you have mastered the 2nd level of sword piercer. Once you master the 1st stage of the phantom sword style, you will be able to claim to be invincible at the same level as a star. If he could master the 2nd level of stabbing the sky, Luo Feng would really be able to compete with the geniuses in the universe. As expected of my brother. Luo Feng flew over and patted Luoxia on the shoulder, feeling extremely happy. Babata also said excitedly, "Rorschach, you have been recognized by 2 original laws at the stellar level. This is a unique achievement in the entire universe. I feel now that you will definitely win this competition, the 1st place in the battle of geniuses." That Rong Jun just understood the 2 laws of earth and space and crossed the threshold of the laws. He was considered by the major immortal powerhouses to have the ability to break into the top 10. But what about Rorschach? Recognized by the origin law of wind and the origin law of gold. He also comprehended extremely profound space laws, which were at a higher level than Rong Jun's understanding of space laws. He also understood the law of thunder, and his level of understanding was equally profound. And 2 years later, due to his understanding of the law of the origin of wind and the law of thunder, Luoxia also gained some understanding of the law of time, reaching the level of crossing the threshold of the law. In terms of understanding of the rules, Rorschach is already far ahead of all the contestants participating this year. In other aspects, Rorschach is not weak either. In terms of domain, his wind speed domain has reached the 9th level. On the warrior level, the amplitude of his body reached 32 times. Strength, speed, and defense can be instantly increased by 32 times. As for telepathy, it has already reached an amplitude of 3,200 times. In terms of secret techniques, he has the innate secret technique creation of heaven and earth given by the will of the original universe. He can cut through space and launch space attacks. With 2 times the strengthening talent, it can instantly increase 2 times the physical fitness and mental power. Possessing the secret method of law of heaven and earth, you can instantly transform into a 100-meter giant, increasing your combat power tenfold. You can also make it smaller, greatly improve your speed and movement, and restrain your aura. Possessing the secret method of absolute space, his movements are ever-changing and he can leave thousands of real shadows in space. Rorschach has too many cards up his sleeve. In the preliminaries, those geniuses did not force him to use these secret techniques and moves. Most of them used the power of some original laws to easily kill the opponent. That's why Rorschach said that the intensity of the qualifiers was very low. He participated in the qualifiers and absolutely crushed him, with no opponent at all. After Rorschach was recognized by the origin law of gold, another year passed. Finally, the battle in the loser group of the arena ended. As expected, Luo Feng got a spot to participate in the universe finals. On this day, it was time for the top 1,000 geniuses from the Ganu universe kingdom to gather. Luo Xia and Luo Feng put aside their cultivation and came to the virtual universe. They entered the preparation hall numbered 00001 in the fighting arena. There are many people standing in the preparation hall, all of them are geniuses who have passed the selection competition. Are those Luo Xia and Luo Feng? Rorschach's aura seems to be even more terrifying. Luo Feng is also very strong. After losing to Rong Jun 3 years ago, he has been improving. My teacher said that Luo Feng can now rank 3rd among the geniuses in our universe country. When I was in the preliminaries, I was from the same world as Rorschach. I fought with him. That guy was so scary that he didn't look like a human being. It must be terrifying. My teacher said that Rorschach was recognized by the original law at the stellar level. That is an achievement that many world masters may not be able to achieve. The arrival of Luo Xia and Luo Feng caused many people in the hall to whisper. The two brothers didn't care about their comments and found a seat by themselves, waiting quietly for the arrival of the big shot. Madman, suddenly a deep and powerful voice came. Luo Xia and Luo Feng turned around and saw Rong Jun, who looked like a savage, walking over with a smile. Luo Feng smiled and shouted, "Savage!" Ha ha ha, Rong Jun laughed. Although the two were rivals 3 years ago, there was no hatred between them. Instead, they cherished each other because of their similar strength. After the two greeted each other, Rong Jun looked at Luo Xia and asked, "Is this your brother Luo Xia?" There was a burning fighting spirit in his eyes. 3 years ago, Rong Jun announced in the fighting arena that he would compete for the first place in the universe's overall ranking. After that, he showed the power of space law and took Luo Feng away. But countless big shots feel that his strength is not the strongest among the geniuses of Qinwu Universe Kingdom. The strongest is Luo Feng's younger brother Luo Xia. Rong Jun always wanted to fight Luo Xia. But Rorschach took first place in the World Zone qualifiers, and the two sides had no chance of fighting. "Well, my brother Luo Xia," Luo Feng introduced with a smile. Luo Xia smiled and nodded slightly to Rong Jun, "Hello." Rong Jun said with fighting spirit, "They all say that you are very strong. Astral level has been recognized by the law of the origin of wind. Indeed, your talent in understanding is extremely high. But fighting is not just about understanding the origin of the law. I'm looking forward to competing with you in the finals." Rorschach nodded politely. At this time, the organizers of Virtual Universe Company shouted, "Everyone! Enter the fighting arena." Luoxia and the others stopped talking and followed the flow of people into the fighting arena. There are no spectators in the fighting arena today. 1,000 peerless geniuses from various galaxies in the Kinwu universe stood in the center of the fighting arena, looking at a giant in front of them. This man was more than 8 meters tall, wearing a scale armor and a battle helmet. His whole body exuded a bloody aura, and his eyes were like the god of death, scanning everyone. Hold your breath. Sweat beaded on the foreheads of most geniuses. Only Rorschach, because he was recognized by the two original laws, could faintly compete with the aura emanating from the giant. The giant was slightly surprised when he saw that Luoxia looked calm and did not feel nervous under his own aura. Then he nodded slightly. He was worthy of being the #1 genius of Ganu Universe Kingdom who had high hopes from everyone. He was indeed extraordinary. Congratulations. A cold voice came from the giant's mouth. You 1,000 people are the best geniuses selected by our Ganu Universe Kingdom. You are all qualified to represent our Universe Kingdom and compete with geniuses from many other Universe Kingdoms. However, this peak showdown is much more difficult than your previous battles. Among the 1,008 cosmic countries, some of them have territories that are vaster and larger than the territory of our which cosmic country. Because the situation in each universe country is different, and the internal selection time is also different, there are still some trials in the universe country that have not yet ended. So, you still have 1.5 years to go. The peak showdown between humans and geniuses in the entire universe will really begin in 1.5 years. I called you here today just to tell you. In the next time, you must practice hard. For yourselves. And for the glory of our universe country. When the internal selection competition of Ganu Universe Kingdom ended, the internal selection was still going on in another human universe country that was extremely far away from Ganu Universe Kingdom, Savage Universe Kingdom. The name of the Wild Universe Kingdom has a lot of background. Because the humans who rule this cosmic country are the Mancastars and the wild gods who are the pinnacle of human bloodlines. People of these two races, even if they don't practice, can easily become a powerful territory lord when they reach adulthood. The number of Mancastars and Huangshen tribesmen is very small. But they are the absolute rulers of the barbaric universe. As for the core planet Manca, the entire planet was placed in a vast divine kingdom. At this time, in an oval castle, a young man was eating and drinking at the dining table. The two realm masters looked at the young man with a smile and congratulated, "Congratulations, Your Highness, congratulations, Your Highness." The young man has the traditional handsomeness of a Mancastar. He is wearing a silver battle suit and has smooth black hair. He is eating and drinking with his head down, just like a Xian in the comics. The mountain of food in front of him was shrinking rapidly. He heard the congratulations of the two world masters and said nonchalantly, "Isn't it just a quota? What is there to congratulate? It's too easy for me." When the two realm masters heard this, they looked at each other and smiled. As the most powerful peerless genius among the Manca people, His Highness in front of him does have the confidence to speak like this. "Your Highness, we have received news that the internal selection of Ganu Universe Kingdom has ended." One of the realm masters suddenly said. "Ganu Universe Kingdom," the young man frowned and looked at the speaking world leader. "I heard from my father that the Ganu Kingdom Lord is very powerful, but in the recent hundreds of genius competitions, nothing happened in that Ganu Universe Kingdom. A great person, right? This time, they have two geniuses who need to pay attention," said the slightly fat world leader. "Oh? Tell me." "Your Highness, we heard that a genius who appeared this time in Nagano Universe Kingdom is named Luoxia. He is only at the star level and has been recognized by the law of the origin of wind." When the young man heard this, he was stunned. He stopped eating, swallowed the food in his mouth with a gulp, and then asked in disbelief, "Is it true? The stellar level has been recognized by the original law? How is this possible?" The slightly thinner realm master said, "It's probably true. We have received news that the top management of Virtual Universe Company is very concerned about this man named Rorschach, but we don't know why, and they haven't sent anyone to contact him yet. The Fat Realm Master added, many people think that this Rorschach should be able to hit the first place in the genius battle. Even if he is not the first, his strength can still be ranked in the top 3. Tisk tisk. The young man bit into the bones and flesh in his hand. His eyes were not timid, but full of fighting spirit. He said, haha, the stellar level has been recognized by the original law. Interesting. I am looking forward to the finals even more. Fight. In addition to this Rorschach, another person worth paying attention to in Ganu Universe Kingdom is a genius named Rongjun. He has understood the laws of Earth and space, and can leave phantom bodies in space. He is very powerful and can rush forward. 10 geniuses. The Thin World Lord said. Understood the laws of Earth and space? Then not only does he have a fast explosive speed, but his attacks are also extremely violent and unstoppable, right? The boy from Mankastar said. The 2 world leaders nodded, yes. Na Rongjun is still declaring on the ring that he will win the first place in the universe rankings. The young man glared and shouted. Number 1 again? Tisk, everyone is so arrogant. But the number 1 ranking in the universe must be mine. Even that Rorschach, I can defeat him. Isn't it the recognition of the original law? Fighting is not just it's the level of understanding of the rules of competition. Confidence. What these geniuses lack most is self-confidence. They were not frightened after Rorschach was recognized by the law of origin. After all, who can become a genius and get a spot to participate in the finals, who doesn't have a trump card? On this day, Rorschach was comprehending the laws of space. Nowadays, his understanding of the laws of space has reached a very high level. The concrete manifestation is that he can leave nearly 10,000 phantom bodies in space. To put it another way, Rorschach's absolute space cultivation has reached the 2nd level, ever-changing. There is only one step away from the 3rd level, teleportation. If he could practice teleportation, Rorschach might be recognized by the original law of space. But it won't be easy. Because Rorschach's strength is too low, it is very difficult to comprehend it to the point where the original law of space is recognized. But even so, his understanding of the laws of space currently exceeds that of most world masters. Buzz buzz. Rorschach's body vaguely resonates with the surrounding space. In the slight tremor, his breath became more and more connected with the surrounding space, as if integrated into this space. He seemed to exist and not exist, it was very mysterious. On the other side, Luo Feng was practicing the divine weapon, and phantom swords appeared around him. It could be seen that the number of these phantom swords had reached 9. He controlled the phantom swords, and the golden threads were connected into pieces, and the mysterious laws filled the air, making the attacks of these phantom swords unpredictable, strange, and powerful. After a while, Luo Feng put away the phantom sword, and the small golden sword returned to the body of the divine weapon, turning into a dark golden stick. Rorschach also retreated from the state of enlightenment. Babata appeared and said, Luo Feng, is your demon slayer clone about to be conceived? Luo Feng nodded, looking expectant, yes, today is the day. After eldest brother has the demon killer clan's clone, he should also be able to understand the original laws of space. Luo Xia flew over and said. Babata said, that is natural, just like the golden horned behemoth is the darling of the golden law, the demon killer clan is the darling of the space law. Unfortunately, it will take another year for my demon slayer clone to be successfully conceived. Luo Xia touched his chin, otherwise, I should be able to practice teleportation before the finals. Teleportation is a magical skill. Whether it's fighting or escaping, it's very useful. At this time, Luo Feng's consciousness had sunk into the inner world. On the vast golden continent surrounded by golden mist, a giant golden horned beast that was more than 10 miles long looked up at the oval golden egg in the sky. Click, click, click. Under Luo Feng's expectant gaze, the oval golden egg suddenly cracked open, and then fell from mid-air, revealing an extremely strange black crystal. This crystal has 10,081 faces, and each face has extremely complex golden secret patterns. In one breath, these secret patterns are integrated into the black crystal. Luo Feng knows that this is the core of the demon-killing clan, the life crystal core. Luo Feng's consciousness stirred, and black air currents suddenly emerged from the life crystal core. These air flows condensed together and finally turned into the appearance of Luo Feng. In the inner world, Luo Feng appeared in black clothes. With Luo Feng's thoughts, the golden horned giant beast and the demon-killing clan clones disappeared from the inner world and appeared in reality. Now the strength of Luo Feng's golden horned beast has been upgraded to the 7th level of the universe level. It is larger than Rorschach's golden horned behemoth clone. The moment it appeared, it was like a huge mountain flashing out, giving people an unparalleled sense of oppression. Is this the demon killer clan's clone? Luo Xia looked at Luo Feng in black. In his perception, the Luo Feng transformed from the demon killer clan clone was almost exactly the same as the Earthling clone. Not only the appearance, but also the soul and breath were completely the same. The three Luo Feng looked at each other, and then with a thought, he took the golden horned giant beast and the Earthling clones into the inner world, leaving only one demon-slaying clone in place. Luo Feng, who was dressed in black, lowered his head slightly and suddenly shouted in a low voice, "Change." Immediately afterwards, he turned into the appearance of Rorschach, then the appearance of the golden horned giant beast, the appearance of Rong Jun. Every time he transformed into another person, his appearance and soul aura were consistent with the other person. Luo Xia looked at it and said with a smile, "This is just like the 72 transformations of the great sage." Luo Feng changed back to his own appearance again, nodded with a smile, and said, "Indeed. But the changes of the demon killer clan are not simple changes, but replications." Rorschach was surprised. "Copy?" Luo Feng explained, "The demon killer clan can use their talents to copy the target's life aura, soul aura, etc., so after the change, the appearance, aura, etc. are completely consistent with the target, unless an immortal level expert uses telekinesis to penetrate into the body to investigate. Otherwise, it would be impossible to detect the disguise of the demon killers from their appearance and soul aura." Luo Xia nodded in surprise. "Does the demon killer clan have such a talent? Brother, are there any restrictions on this kind of copying? Can you copy other people's secret techniques?" "Of course this copying talent cannot copy other people's secret techniques." Luo Feng smiled bitterly, "This little brother's imagination is too big. If the talent of the demon killer clan can also copy other people's secret techniques, then they will be the most powerful race in the universe, bar none." Babata said, "The greatest talent of the demon killers is actually their affinity with the laws of space. They are the darlings of the laws of space and are born with strong space perception." Luo Feng nodded. He has now felt the slightest fluctuations in the surrounding space. This kind of fluctuation cannot be felt at all when using the bodies of Earthlings and golden horned giant beasts. Absolute space. Luo Feng suddenly used absolute space, and suddenly, 5 Luo Feng figures appeared in the sights of Luo Xia and Babata. "It's amazing. The flying dodge of the Demon Slayer clone is so easy, it's simply incredible." Luo Feng stopped, his face full of shock. He was shocked by the physical talent and legal talent of the Demon Killer clan clone. "I have very little understanding of absolute space. In the past 3 years, I have barely touched the threshold of the original law of space. It is not an introduction. But now, using the Demon Slayer clone, I can feel the fluctuations of space. It's incredible to leave 5 phantom bodies in space." Babata reminded, "Luo Feng, you can use the Demon Slayer clone to transform into a golden horned behemoth to practice absolute space. With the addition of space secrets, you can quickly improve in the laws of space." Yes, I know, Luo Feng nodded. The success of the Demon Killer clan's clone made up for Luo Feng's shortcomings in his insufficient understanding of the laws of space. In the following time, Luo Xia and Luo Feng devoted themselves to more intense training. Because there is less than a year left before the Universe Genius Finals. Time flows away quietly like running water. In the next year, in addition to understanding the laws of space and time, Rorschach also tried to fuse the power of several laws. For example, wind and thunder can be completely integrated to make Rorschach faster. For another example, the combination of ley and finance can greatly enhance the attack power. Rorschach is making various attempts and efforts, and with his incredible understanding, these fusions have yielded results. On this day, the finals of the battle between the pinnacle human geniuses in the universe are finally about to begin. Luo Xia and Luo Feng said goodbye to their family and friends, and brought their expectations to the floating island above the Ganu continent. Mr. Luo Feng, Mr. Luo Xia, please go this way. As soon as the two brothers appeared, a cosmic-level staff member waiting next to the teleportation point smiled and pointed a path to Luo Xia and Luo Feng. Thank you. Luo Feng and Luo Xia thanked them and walked forward along the guided path. Not long after, the two came to a square where a large group of people were standing. 1/3 of these people look very similar to people on Earth. According to Babada, the appearance of people on Earth is considered one of the mainstream human races in the universe. Rorschach is here. The madman is here too. Many young men and women looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng. Rorschach. The corpse hanger. Luo Feng. Madman. Many people greeted Luo Xia and Luo Feng, and the two brothers responded with smiles. Not long after, 1,000 peerless geniuses all arrived, and then an invisible pressure suddenly appeared, covering the entire square. Everyone's face was pale and their bodies were trembling slightly. Ta, ta, ta. Accompanied by heavy footsteps, a giant wearing a scale armor and a helmet walked over. It was the immortal being who summoned Rorschach and the others a year ago to inform them. The giant came in front of everyone and said calmly, "According to the order of the king, I will lead the team in this peak battle. You can call me 13th Lord, do you understand?" Clear. Everyone subconsciously responded. At this time, the giant's eyes fell on Luo Xia and Rongjun, and said, "Luo Xia, Rongjun. Master 13. Luo Xia and Rongjun saluted in response. You two are the only two people in our Qinwu Universe Kingdom who are sure not to be eliminated. The king has expectations for you. Don't let the king down. Do you understand?" Yes, Luo Xia and Rongjun replied respectfully. The giant nodded slightly, then looked at the others and said, "As for you people, work hard. I hope you won't be eliminated prematurely. Okay, come with me." He waved his hand and teleported Rorschach and the others to a newly opened up new plane. What caught Luo Xia's eyes was a vast continent. As soon as he appeared, a middle-aged man in white robes saluted the scale armor giant and said, "The Ganu Universe Nation team, there are 1008 buildings ahead. Your Universe Nation team is arranged in building No 0825. The giant nodded and flew forward with Rorschach. Not long after, they saw 1008 buildings forming a ring. In the center of these buildings, there was a square with birds singing and flowers fragrant. In this square, there are many young men and women from other universe countries. They are either chatting or walking. At a glance, there are more than 100,000 people. The giant took Rorschach and the others to land at the edge of the square, and then walked along the special passage towards their building. In the square, many people noticed Rorschach's arrival and started talking in low voices. This group of people is heading towards building 0825. It seems they are a team from Ganu Universe Kingdom. The tallest among that group is the savage Rongjun, right? Where's Luo Xia? Rorschach? Are you talking about the rumored super genius who has been recognized by the law of origin? Yes, I heard that Rorschach is the favorite to win this talent competition. That's Rorschach, right? I've seen images of him, and now I can see it with my own eyes. His aura is indeed extraordinary. The geniuses in the entire Kinwu universe kingdom can naturally hear other people's comments. They were secretly angry. They are also geniuses who can break into the top 1000 of Kinwu universe kingdom, and they are the proud ones of heaven. But now, the geniuses of other universe countries only pay attention to Luoxia and Rongjun, and do not take them seriously at all. How can they not be angry? Suddenly, the giant who led the team stopped. At this time, they had arrived at the door of building No 0825. Just listen to the giant say in a cold voice, "I have number plates from 1 to 1000 here. Each of you has received the number plate and entered your respective rooms with the number plate." After he finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the number plates suddenly fell down one by one, landing in front of everyone. Rorschach reached out and grabbed it. There was the number 1 on the number plate. Rongjun is 2. Luo Feng is 3. Obviously, the issuance of this number plate is based on the level of strength. Now, you can move freely. The giant said, "You can go to your room to sleep and rest, or you can go to the square to communicate with geniuses from other universe countries. When it gets dark, the organizers of Virtual Universe Company will summon all of you. No matter where you are in this world, you can hear the notification anywhere in the plane." After saying that, he strode away. When the leader of the team left, Luoxia and the others secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This boss doesn't take care of his team members at all. Damn, he puts all kinds of pressure on him as soon as he comes up. Isn't this helping other cosmic countries weaken the strength of our own cosmic country? After all, the pressure released by immortality has a great impact on stellar geniuses. It's hard to say that some geniuses have been affected and thus performed abnormally. I don't know why the leader of Ganu Kingdom asked him to lead the team. The giant in scale armor passed through a stream of light and landed in front of restaurant number 1 in the square. Grown-ups. The waiter at the restaurant door saluted respectfully. The giant walked directly into the restaurant. In restaurant number 1, there were all great immortal beings sitting there. Rorschach and other contestants cannot enter here. 13 is here. Many people in this restaurant knew the giant, and they all greeted the giant in scale armor. Yeah, the giant nodded slightly in response, and then sat down at an empty table. 13, I heard that your Kinwu Universe Kingdom has produced a genius named Luoxia this time. He was recognized by the original law at just a star level. It is very remarkable. Is it true? There is immortal curiosity asking. 13 nodded slightly and said, "Of course it's true." He looked at the immortal and said, "Trove, your universe country has a genius nicknamed Blood Axe, right?" Trove smiled slightly and said, "Yes, that little guy's style is very similar to yours." Another immortal said, 13, can you get 3 of the top 1000 places in Ganu universe this time? I heard that in addition to Luoxia, there are 2 little guys named Rongjun and Luo Feng who are pretty good. Rongjun's strength is not bad, he should have a chance to break into the top 10. 13 shook his head slightly. As for Luo Feng, he is not strong enough, so he should have no chance. Immortal said, the information I got, Luo Feng and Luoxia seem to be brothers. Why is there such a big gap between the 2 brothers? 13th said, it's not that the gap between the 2 brothers is big, but the gap between Rorschach and everyone else is big. Severa, don't even think that from this set of information I said that your Noah universe nation can get the first place. Our universe nation Rorschach is no worse than your genius. Severa smiled and said confidently, it is indeed very powerful to be recognized by the original law at the star level. It is incredible. But no matter how strong it is just the recognition of the lower laws. Bolan, our country of Noah's universe, has understood the original law of space to an extremely incredible degree. To the extent. 13 snorted, let's see later. We, Bolin, will definitely get first place, Severo was very confident. Nothing else. Just because, in his opinion, Rorschach was able to get the recognition of the law of the origin of wind because he must have spent a lot of time on comprehending the law of the origin of wind, so it is impossible to have other time and energy to comprehend it. Other laws, such as the law of space or the law of time. However, the original law of wind is just a lower law. How can it be compared with the superior law? With Bolin's extremely high understanding of the original laws of space, he can definitely defeat Rorschach and win the first place in this genius battle. Thanks to book friend 20230324163137088 for the 2000 starting coin. Thank you to book friends 2023 for the 100 reading coins. Thank you very much. At the same time, thank you to the readers for subscribing and voting. Thank you very much.